hope I don't get in trouble for this, but the coach, he tosses up a few bad jokes, I suppose.
Have you got one for us?
What's black and white? Looks like a horse.
A black and white horse?
A zebra.
Ah, you got me. What's a Shih Tzu?
Is it the same as
one that doesn't have any animals? 3 matches on Sunday in round 14.
That's a dad joke, that one.
The Rabbits play the Titans up in Cairns at 2 p.m. The Roosters host the Warriors on Sunday night football, and the Knights have a tough task taking on the Premiers down at Amy Park on Sunday, thanks to Seabus. It is a very difficult task, obviously, for any side that goes down to Melbourne, but especially for this Newcastle side. They've lost 3 in a row. They've lost their last 5 against the Storm, but one of their trump cards will be Jarrod Mullen. Well, Jarrod, thanks for being a part of the show. Let's get personal now. What do you like in the sheds before a game?
I'm pretty relaxed. Don't like to think about the game too much. Probably early on in my career, I tried to think about it too much and it sort of messed with my head. And sort of when Stoney took over and Wayne got here and all that sort of stuff, they just sort of told me to play my natural game, and I think that's what's helped me at the moment.
Are you a talker?
Not before the game, nah. I leave that to Willie and the Q and all them sort of boys. They do a lot of talking, but I'm pretty relaxed. But definitely on the field, I do probably most of the talking.
I think you've got the best left to right passing or pass in the game. When you throw the wide pass, what are you reacting to?
Mainly opposition centre, how tight he is, and probably their line speed. But it's something I definitely practice on, because when I was younger, I was a centre, and I remember going over to, I've known Bedsy a while because I've lived with him at Tuqiri, and I could never throw right to left, and he sort of taught me to draw a circle on a tree and pass it, hit it 100 times, and even my left to right wasn't too strong. So that's what I did as a kid, probably 15, 16. That's when I started playing 5'8", and I think that helped me in good stead to have a good passing game.
Apart from the fifth tackle, when do you want the ball?
I want the hands on the ball as much as I can. I think that as a group we play a strong game when I'm getting my hands on the ball a lot more, and Wayne's really encouraging me to do that. So you look at players like Thurston, he's touching the ball, up the woods of like 60 and 70 times a game. So I'm not quite up to that yet, but I'd like to get up there.
You kick the ball more than anybody else in the competition, but you kick with a great precision. With that little kick over the top on the outside that doesn't travel that high, when I'm watching as a spectator, it looks almost like a cut-out pass. Does it feel like that to you sometimes? Yeah,
well, it gets there quickly, I suppose, and if the opposition winger is just a bit tight, if you're putting it high, he's got time to react to go back and catch on the full, whereas if you're kicking it flat, almost like a flat pass, he doesn't have time to react, and that's something I have worked on and work on with a Q and Jimmy and stuff like that, and sometimes it comes off and it's great, but it is probably a low percentage play, because if you're kicking it too flat, the opposition winger can catch it and run the length of the field. So you need to get it just over his head. And if you're making the play, Wayne's happy. But if you're not, be kick up the bum, I suppose. I
think over the last couple of seasons, you've run the ball more. Are there times that you still maybe underestimate your running game?
Yeah, I like to do the stuff around me for other players, like set up lines and put other blokes through holes, or give them the ball when they haven't seen it for a while. But it's something I really need to keep working on, because every time I run the ball, something's sort of come off good off the back of it. Well, hopefully it is anyway. But yeah, it's something I do have neglected probably this year, and something I need to keep working on.
How would you describe the Newcastle season so far?
Pretty inconsistent, I suppose. We're winning some good games. That Bulldogs game, that was probably the highlight of our year. We really come to play, and it was really such a good feeling after it. And then sort of since then we've lost 3 in a row, and the team morale is sort of a bit down at the moment. But we're still in there, we're still in the 8, and I know we've got the side to do it. We
are in Origin period. You were there game 1, 2007. Do you think you're a better player now because of that experience so early on?
Oh, yeah, I think so. It did happen so early on in my career, but probably go through the school of hard knocks after that. I did the shoulder, and I tore the calf, then did the shoulder, and then next year come back from a shoulder recall and haven't played since. So, but life's tough. I just suck it up, and just really enjoy my football at the moment.
Well, thanks for your time, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Sterlo.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching Jarrod Mullen play. Very, very smart player. And Matty, I guess the other thing that he had to overcome was the fact for a number of years there, he was the next Andrew Johns.
Yeah, very
That's difficult. The way it was reported.
And like a lot of Parramatta halves, Pete, had to try to fill your boots. coaching staff don't expect them, people, Parramatta players to be the next Peter Sterling, but all the fans do, which is unfair. There's a couple of real ironies to Jarrod, one of which, as you said, about that beautiful passing game. But the irony is his greatest gift is his running ability, and getting that right. But the other one is for a player with such immense talent, and I'm a Newcastle boy and I'm a life member of the club and love the club, but I don't say this biasly. He's just about the most talented half in the competition, but ironically he lacks self-belief. And if one thing I could, with Jarrod that's frustrating is you're trying to convince the young bloke of how good he is.
Yeah.
And when he finally believes that, this side will just really take off.
The one thing I didn't ask him about was his drop-kicking ability. What about this from last week?
Yeah.
This from the 20-metre line.
Yeah.
It lands, 60-odd metres downfield. He's kicked that 85, 90 metres.
Amazing.
Not bad. Used to do that at training.
All right, well, they take on a Melbourne side who they gave it to Cronulla. I didn't see that coming. And a lot of it seemed to be on the back of the big three coming back from a losing origin and taking it out on the next opponents. Is that how you saw it?
Oh, big time. They were clinical. They were perfect. I thought Ryan Hoffman was great backing up as well, but it's probably a scary thought for New South Wales more than anything. I guess it shows their intentions and they're hurting from Origin too. But they just did not give Cronulla a hope. Not at all.
But there was no pressure put on Cooper Cronk. There was no pressure put on Cam Smith. And I think the only chance Newcastle have of winning this game is to upset Cooper Cronk and his support play.
The best thing Newcastle are going for, they'll be up for it. I know how Wayne works, and they will definitely be up for it. But as you say, them little things that you've got to do, it's like exactly what Melbourne did to South. All the pressure they put on Adam Reynolds, that was the difference between the result in the end. And Newcastle have to do the same with Melbourne.
I'm really looking forward to Craig Gower's reintroduction into the NRL. Yeah. It's a bolt from the blue, this one. Spoke to some of the guys up there early in the week and they said his first training session, he just oozed competitive nature. And obviously that is one of the attractions as to why Wayne has brought him back.
Look, I'm excited about it as well, Pete, and there's no doubt about it. Gower's not going to come and you don't expect him to be the same player he was in the early 2000s, but look, the experience and the toughness will be invaluable. It'll be super.
The Storm will take on the Knights.
Yeah, the Storm say they are as named, but Craig Bellamy says he's expecting Craig Gower, the Knights' new recruit, to play. Knights aren't ruling out his return. They're also not ruling out a possible return from Akila Uate and Danny Buderus. David Fa'alongo, we're talking about how is it Fa'alogo? Fa'alongo?
Whatever you want.
Yep. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. He's out. He injured himself at training this week. So.
All right, Mido.
Yeah, Bennett versus Bellamy, two of the great modern-day coaches. They've met 20 times. Bellamy has a 14-6 lead. Newcastle haven't won in Melbourne since 2004.
Matty, the odds suggesting Storm will win comfortably. Could you see an upset here?
Oh, look, I don't think so. Storm are playing great footy. Obviously last week they, probably played their best game all year, and the Knights are struggling. I'm sure Wayne will get them up for the game, but I don't think they'll beat the Storm.
Craig Gower back to the Knights today's return to the NRL. What are your thoughts? Is this a good move from Wayne Bennett?
I think it's a great move. Craig Gower, we've both played with myself and Bryan. He's a competitor, he's a winner, he's a leader, and Tyrone Roberts is certainly a player of the future at the Knights as a halfback. But to bring in someone of his experience and his pedigree, it's just a win for the club. So he's going to bring that experience, and he's a great bloke to have at the club too. He's great for the spirit of the club.
You mentioned Tyrone Roberts. How does this make him feel though? The 35-year-old comes back from does he just think, oh, well, I'm obviously not up to it? Or is Wayne coming in to say, well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hand? Because I can't imagine Gower is now 35 years of age. He's obviously there just to get the team around. He's not going to be taking the line on, you'd think. He's lost a little bit of pace, but...
Well, look, the Knights have had some injuries to key players, Danny Buderus and Kirk Gidley, two of the leaders. Without them in the side, they definitely lack leadership in key positions. So, look, Wayne Bennett's got to get a result. Let's not kid ourselves. He's been at a club with all the resources that he wants. They didn't make the 8 last year. If they don't make the 8 again this year, people in Newcastle aren't going to be happy, so he has to win.
I think fans sometimes criticise, picking, recruiting older players like that, but I think it's really underestimated how much a senior player adds to a team, and someone with that much experience. And I think every team needs a good quality bunch of senior players, and I think Wayne obviously understands that, and that's what he's done with Gower.
And he has been brought into the side for today's game. But, I mean, you played over there. What do you bring back from that competition into the NRL?
A lot of jumpers and a lot of tracksuit pants. No, look, the way the game is going over there now, it's probably not as attractive for Australians going over there and
is that
Kiwis.
with the dollar?
Yeah, the dollar is now whatever it is. I mean, it's $1.60, and plus you can't do the offshore stuff where it was a tax-free threshold through the Cayman Islands, a bit like your money now, Dukes, where it goes through the Cayman. But yeah, and if the Aussies over there, they sort of brought the standard up, I thought, and now the quality English players are coming over here, as we talked about James Graham before.
Yeah, you saw him on the roast. I've snavelled him across to talk some betting here on the matches remaining. Thanks to sportsbet.com.au. Good to see you, Fletch.
Thank you, Peter. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Not sure if that's that happy, but anyway, let's get into this afternoon's game. Big one down at Amy Park, obviously involving the Melbourne Storm up against the Newcastle Knights. What can you tell us about what's happening there individually?
Yeah, their favourites, $1.18.
$1.18.
Got a good stat, Melbourne. Yeah, Newcastle have never won down there without Andrew Johns. And Melbourne are going for...
Well, he's down there, but I don't think he's...
Not playing.
No.
Yeah, not playing. So all the punters are all over the Storm at $1.18.
5.15. The line there, plus or minus 13.5, so that's quite substantial. First try scorers, Billy Slade at $10, James McManus at $12.
Yep.
Now, speaking of James McManus, you've got something there for us?
Yeah, the specials. Yeah, money back specials. So if he scores, James McManus, first and last try scoring bets will be refunded up to $100.
Right. So I actually think there's some upsets to come in the remaining games. I'm not quite sure if it'll take place down in Melbourne this afternoon.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sterlo. Happy birthday to you.
Wugga, wugga, wugga.
What?
I just came out of nowhere.
Hang on here.
Sorry.
I was in here the other day for the Gold Telethon, and these cakes were distributed on that day, which is last Monday.
It could be your last cake.
Thank you very much. You don't want to know what the wish was. You've worked hard today.
I have.
Yes,
I have.
You're back with us.
I am indeed. Got some around the grounds for you now. Now, Craig Gower will make his return to the NRL this afternoon for the Knights against the Storm. We caught up with Wayne Bennett and asked him how it all came about.
No, it's one of the good things you journalists did. You put in the paper that he was available. And I happened to read that article. Very seldom read it. I was sitting in the airport.
I didn't think you read newspaper.
I don't. I was bored. I was sitting in the airport and I saw the sports section in the back of the paper. I thought, I might have a look at that, see what the hell is going on. There's a little piece at the end saying Craig Gower's wanting to come back to Australia. I rang Matt Gidley straight away. Said, Matt, we need to make a phone call. Look, it wouldn't matter who we're playing this weekend, he'd have to be nervous. Because big decision he's made. In the UK a week and a half ago, in Australia, playing the NRL this weekend, he hasn't been here for 5 or 6 years.
We heard a grab from Wayne Bennett. In a little while, we'll hear live from the coach of Melbourne, Craig Bellamy. Andrew Johns is going to catch up with him down at Amy Park. And it's appropriate now to have a look at a former clash between these two clubs, a beauty between the Storm and the Knights.
And listen to the roar of the crowd as Butterfield leads the Knights out onto Marathon Stadium in Newcastle.
The Storm game was going to be a huge game with lots of ex-Newcastle players in the Storm side. We had 26,000 people at the ground. It was huge. The atmosphere was amazing.
McDougall!
My mate Dukes and my mate Bedsy put on a good bit of play and I finished it off.
Buderus got it back on the outside to Mark Hughes.
The Mad Dog, never far from the action, managed to get another try in the left-hand corner.
Running back in, McDougall for the corner. Can he get it down?
We knew Melbourne would come back and Brett Kamali fired a left to right to Matt Gagai.
Gaia through the line. Kamali got it back to Swain. On to Martin.
They kept coming, 2 tries in a row.
Coming up for Marcus Pai. He'll go across untouched. Rudder.
Crowd started to go a little quiet. We knew we had to come up with some answers.
Who's going to win the race? Rudder. Rudder's going to get there.
It was going to be a massive second half. We needed someone to stand up, produce a big moment.
They go wide.
And that man that done that countless times, of course, was Andrew Joey Johns. He fired a beautiful left-to-right pass to a flying Darren Albert.
Albert for the line, and he's got the ball down.
And we all knew Joey's passing game, but as a runner, he was so thick around the hips and the buttocks, and busted tacklers with his steps.
To Andrew Johns. Johns getting very close. What a try!
We were ahead by about 10, and Tuqiri and Nicow went about this really good run of about 15 metres stepping and palming.
Nicow for the line. Getting very close. If he can get this down, it's a try.
Joey would practice field goals at training from the corner post and manage to swing them around through the post. So if he could do it from there, he could do it from in front.
It's there.
Matty Gagai scored a late try, but it was too late and we certainly celebrated a great victory. That pushed us on to a good season. We bundled out to Parry in the semi-finals, and of course Melbourne Storm went on to win the competition. And the rest is history.
Two teams I really enjoy watching do battle down at Amy Park this afternoon. Our 9 game, you'll see it at 4 p.m. The Melbourne Storm at home against the Newcastle Knights. Knights have hit a rough patch after an excellent win over the Bulldogs a month ago. They've lost their last 3 since then against the Melbourne Storm side, who were fantastic against the Cronulla Sharks last week. And Newcastle Knights have lost their last 5 in a row against the Melbourne Storm. Your old club down there, no tougher road trip. But Newcastle, I think they'll be up for this one. Wayne Bennett going down to take on Craig Bellamy, of course, and 3 straight losses. They need to find something.
Yeah, they've got the team that can trouble Melbourne as well. They've got big forwards, they move around, they throw the ball around a little bit, and tough. They've got a good, tough back row, which I think might be the difference.
How do you see this one, Freddie?
Melbourne. They were brilliant last week. Their set starts. Newcastle have had a bit of problems with their discipline of lately, of last couple of games. So if they do that again, Melbourne's set plays against Cronulla are unbelievable. They're lethal, and they'll be too good.
At 35, Craig Gower suited up for the Knights. He only arrived back in the country on Monday. Cooper Cronk was rested, so Brett Finch made a rare appearance for Melbourne, so the Knights set about upsetting the Premiers.
Oh, he'll score. Yes, he will. Leilua.
A blanket ban on punching had some impact.
Push 5. Push up. Push. But no punching.
The Knights leading deep into the second half until Billy Slater stole it for Melbourne. Jerosyn, 7 News.
Time to welcome a couple of State of Origin legends. Our first guest made his Origin debut in Queensland's emphatic series win over New South Wales in 2001 when he played in all 3 games. And the following year, he was a standout for the Maroons, scoring a try in all 3 games, including a hat-trick in Game 2. And it's great to have the Queensland and West Tigers great Lote Tuqiri with us tonight. How are you going, Lote?
Good, mate. Good to be here.
Good to see you back in the show with a bit more hair than what we saw there in 2001. You've gone the other way.
Yeah, I have. I really can't wait for the next Wednesday. It's going to be a cracking game, and I was talking to Bedsy earlier, and we both can't wait to sort of get the boys and see them go at it.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Well, the man you referred to as Bedsy is a New South Wales legend. In fact, he captained the Blues a record 15 times. He made his State of Origin debut in 2002, try-scoring phenomena on his own right. He wore the Blues jersey 21 times right up until his last appearance 5 years ago now. New South Wales and Newcastle Knights great Danny Buderus is with us, and there's a sight Blues fans want to see again next week, holding that shield high. How you going, Danny?
Good, Andrew. How are you?
Good to see you, mate. Very, very well. Now, the good news is you'll be back on the footy field soon, so we'll talk about that a little bit later when we look at the club footy.
Danny, more so than ever, I don't know if it's just me, but it looks like the hot and cold form of teams. Why is it happening?
Mate, on the back of a 40-point loss or a 30-point loss or a bad performance of defence, players' pride, they come out and the next week they play well. And that's the thing for a coach to work out, why is that happening? Right. And that's where we're at. We're a pretty inconsistent bunch at the moment, but we're trying to get our routine down pat. We've won 1 game away from home. So those are all things that are crewing our season at the moment, along with injuries. But that's that thing for a coach to hit that challenge every week for the team, just to play at a consistent level. And you see the teams like Melbourne and Manly, they do that every week and they're up the top.
Danny, run us through the youth policy you got going on at the Knights at the moment. Craig Gower, 35, just signed. But talk us through that. Like, you came back from the English Super League as well. Playing that first game back in the NRL, and Pat Richards will do the same for the Tigers next year. How hard is it to come back after playing over there, back to this level?
Gower was nervous as. You can imagine he had no pre-season, hasn't played hooker for a while. He's gone down to Melbourne, been here for 5 days, and he's playing against the top-notch and the benchmark. And he did really well, Gowie. Like, he looks sharp, he plays direct. He's going to be a good purchase for us, and he covers that, the special position in 7 and 9.
Newcastle's Danny Buderus now. You're back. 2 weeks' time?
No, we've got a bye this week.
Bye this week and next week.
Yeah, bouncing on Monday for a game week prep, so looking forward to that.
It'll be great to see you back in action, obviously following Origin very closely. Blues to win?
Without a doubt.
Lote Tuqiri, are we going to see you back in the NRL?
Hopefully be back in about 3 or 4 weeks. So
that's great.
Fingers crossed there.
And you probably disagree with Danny's assessment of Origin too?
I disagree. I'll say Queensland by about 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
I'd love to see it come down for a third game too.
Ooh,
don't worry.
Danny, please.
What about 3? There's no such thing as a dead rubber block, is there? So let's.
You're New South Wales captain legend.
No. I just want to see. I know it'll be a great game. I'm just that excited for Wednesday.
All right, boys. Great to see you. We appreciate you coming in, spending some time with us. The Newcastle Knights hooker Danny Buderus and the West Tigers winger Lote Tuqiri.
But just before we do that, we're going to have this Andrew Johns story right now. Last Sunday, thousands of footy fans flocked to Amy Stadium to watch the Storm play the Knights. But for Craig Coombes, that day ended up being a day he would never forget. And that was thanks to a fantastic player and a great bloke, Andrew Johns. Have a look.
Have you ever wondered what you'd do if you were told that you only had months to live? Meet Craig Coombes. Last April, he was diagnosed with throat cancer, and after an unsuccessful operation to remove the tumours, he was given the most shocking news of all.
Originally September last year, they said we're sorry, but there's too many of them to treat successfully, and they basically thought I had around 12 to 15 months to live. I think the endocrinologist who took it harder, she was crying when she told me. But look, that's devastating to hear. But I'm still alive now. You just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you try not to think about the negatives, I guess, and just, I don't know, as much as Dad probably wants us all to just live our lives still. So we just try and continue that and not put too much on, I guess, the bad things in life and just look positive.
Determined to make every minute count, Craig and his best mate Pete set up a bucket list and also created Naked Tuesday, a recreation of iconic photos with a twist.
And it actually gave me a way to show my family and friends that, look, things are pretty bad, but you can still have a laugh in life.
Seeing Craig's sense of humour, it was no surprise that ABC personality Adam Hills was the second person on Craig's bucket list that he wanted to meet. Craig joined Adam on his show last month, and well, let's just say Adam was at home with the concept of Naked Tuesday.
Craig and Pete's idea of Naked Tuesday and getting nude for a good cause, it was like, yes, that's funny. And it's funnier because it's in the face of cancer, because it's for someone who, you know, most other people would go, well, that's it, life's done, I'll sit in the corner. And Craig's not just going, I'm not going to sit in the corner, he's going, I'm going to get nude.
But the person on top of Craig's bucket list, the person he's always wanted to meet, was this guy.
To Johns, he'll score! Andrew Johns scores!
He said, I've got this whole list of things that I want to do, and one of them's meet Andrew Johns. And I kind of went, I got really fired up and went, I'll see what I can do. I had no idea how I was going to make that happen.
Well, we did. We've sent Craig to the football where he thinks he's just there to watch his beloved Knights take on the Storm. But with time running out for Craig, we wanted to tick off another thing on his bucket list.
So one of your bucket list items was to toss the coin at MCG, an AFL game? Yes. You'll be tossing the coin inside.
Thanks, mate. Thanks very much. Cheers, mate.
On behalf of the Knights, I'd just like to present a jersey to you. Hey, mates. All the boys have signed it for you, so it's our pleasure. Thanks for coming today. All right. Make sure you wear it.
Thank you.
Got one more thing for you. The man who's organised most of this for you is going to be waiting just outside the door for you.
Go on, mate. I have that. I don't recognise your clothes on.
How are you?
How you doing?
I'll go now. It's all good. So I can't believe I'm standing here. I'm like, I'm going to wake up soon.
There's another guest.
Oh, good.
Have I missed anything? Have they told you the final surprise?
Oh, sorry. There's no, there can't be anything.
No, you're running out as fullback.
Oh, jeez. He's been the greatest rugby league player ever, who, as you know, is the one person in the world I want to meet out of everyone in the world. I can't believe it. You were second, I'm sorry, mate.
Well, I tell you what, you picked the ball up from dummy half. I was first off the ruck. I took it up for maybe one hit and then flicked it to this guy who just did a little, I don't know what he did, but it was a 70-metre run to put the ball down here for you. How's that for an analogy? It's
fantastic. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would meet Andrew Johns. It's been incredible. Nothing will top this day, ever.
This is it. This is the pinnacle for him. And as a rugby league tragic myself, you know, I can't imagine the equivalent for me to meet one of my heroes like that.
And we're underway at Amy Park through the left boot of Cameron Smith. There's the siren. The Melbourne Storm winning this one.
Watching him sit on the sideline with Joey, knowing that every word that comes out of Craig's mouth actually hurts and he'll never complain about it. And there's no way he was going to hold back a word while talking to one of his heroes. You just kind of go, he is not feeling any pain right now, and he's just got a beaming smile.
I do look at a calendar and think, too, I'm 6 months to go, but I'm not living like that. We're going to just keep going until it's time up. I'll actually go to bed tonight with a smile on my face, sometimes just a tear running down my cheek. Not tonight. This will be with me forever.
Very nice story. Somewhat sad, but in the same breath, uplifting and inspirational story. Craig, I wish you all the best, that's for sure. We'd like to say thank you to the Storm, in particular Frank Panisi, the Knights, the ABC as well, and a huge thank you to Adam Hills. He's a great bloke, Adam Hills, loves his footy, for making that story possible. Don't forget, you can catch Adam on his show, Adam Hills Tonight, on the ABC.
Nathan Tinkler, where's he at?
Well, yeah, look, during the week, you know, he had to sell his $700 million worth of Whitehaven shares. His creditors called in the debt finally, and you know, the Knights are obviously a little bit nervous because there's some reports that he is now financially not in the position that he was when he took over the Knights. There's concerns, obviously, but you know, I've got a lot of respect for Nathan Tinkler in the sense that he's an electrician that started with $1 million, turned it into $1.1 billion. I know now that, you know, he's lost that $1 billion effectively. Will he come again? I think he can. He's a great businessman, and I think, though, I wouldn't be advising him to keep a football team. I don't think he should have the racehorses he's got. I don't think he should have the soccer team he's got. He doesn't have the financial, I suppose, resources that he once had, but he's been great for the Knights, but there is some trouble on the horizon.
Oh, no, I don't think anyone wants to death ride him, but where's this going to finish, do you
Well,
think?
the thing is they've got a bank guarantee, the Knights do, so if he goes belly up, then they'll be all right. You know, they've got a bank guarantee that will secure their future. But I just, you know, people think that private ownership is the way forward for rugby league teams, and in the case of South Sydney it has worked, but Manly have had their issues, and the Knights have got their issues. You know, it's not the great panacea that everyone thinks for the future of clubs, you know, that people think.
Welcome back to the roast. Well, we got a bit nostalgic towards the end of the last segment, so we thought we'd stay in that kind of mode. Why not we wind the clock back to 2001 and a very, very touching moment that we saw between the Canberra Raiders and the Newcastle Knights. Let's roll the vision here. Look at that. Very young Brett Finch. Look at him. Seemed more fat on a chip than a bloke like that. He takes his pants off with the great Joey Johns. That game hadn't finished well for you, had it?
No, mate. We had a 20-metre restart. I tried to find touch and I kicked out the full and gave Newcastle a penalty and lost the game from. I don't know how those shorts fit Joey, but I cried myself to sleep for a week after that game.
It was nice to meet you. Obviously, you were the former ball boy with the Newcastle Knights, and you and Joey are still good mates, so it was
17 then? I think I was 18 then, but yeah, it was a long time ago.
Have you still got those shorts?
They'll probably be at home in the cupboard somewhere.
Speaking of enjoying his football, that's one thing he's always done, I suppose. Willie Mason, we saw him arrive with Craig Gower. What are they, 78 years of age between them, I suppose. But Willie Mason has been a survivor. He is a character, and Lara Pitt has put together this profile on Willie Mason, according to his teammates.
All right, let's talk Willie. What's he like at training on a daily basis?
Oh, he's just a big kid. He's always touching you and grabbing you and doing stuff to you. So he might have a thing for me, actually.
He thinks he's funny, but we don't reckon. You can never shut him up.
Well, he never shuts up. He's always out there talking, and he's always competing, which is good. But you can't stop him from talking. This is for sure.
He's got a lot of stories about himself.
Probably about 40% truth, 60% lies.
Mason swerves, got it, ball around the corner to Cuthbertson. That was a perler. Leilua scores for Newcastle. Willie has been given a big pat on the back by Wayne Bennett.
And what about his relationship with Wayne? I heard he's perhaps a bit of a teacher's pet.
He's more than that. I think he's there's something going on there.
They're in love then too, so Wayne picked him in the All-Stars, so their feelings mutual.
He might suck up a little bit. Boys are saying they always catch him out in dinners at night, so...
him and Wayne?
Yeah, those two candlelit dinners at Derby Street.
He's 65 years old. I don't know how old he is. Maybe 80 or something, 90. Who knows?
Taya gives it to Mason, straight through them. Willie Mason gets across the stripe for his first try with the Newcastle Knights.
Yeah, I think it's great that he's still going around at the age he is and just how passionate he still is with his footy.
I love Willie. He's just got a lot of energy. Like, even though when you're down, sometimes he comes up and, he just cheers you up. And because, he's just funny. It's just good to have him around the club.
There he is, Willie Mason. Now, you, Gary, have had to put up with Kevy Walters at times and Alan Langer. How important are players like that around a club in such a serious business?
Well, absolutely, they lighten things up because it is a serious business. And, when you're losing or you're struggling or things, sometimes you can get a little bit too serious. It's just when your coach can be pretty serious at times. But he's backing the coach about his age. It seems like Willie's been around about as long as Wayne Bennett, doesn't it?
He does. We'll take a break here from Hunter Stadium. Other side of the break, we will preview the Knights and the Titans.
Good evening, everybody. The Gold Coast Seagulls. They take the field. Mark Sargent takes the Newcastle Knights out. It's a must-win game for them, really.
It's so important for them to be victorious.
High shot. Penalty will be given to Gold Coast right in front. Wayne Bartram is one of 6 goal kickers that Gold Coast have used this year. He has the best record, and he still has. Gold Coast get first points. Scarden got good ball from Vowles, who's in support and with the ball now. Adrian Vowles, the winger's in to score. David Mubang. 42 metres out from the line, through Matthew Johns to his brother Andrew. A second man play for Robbie O'Davis. David Smith was running as a decoy. Johns got the pass away. Godden turns it on. Andrew Johns supports. His brother Matthew is there. Kepnich is beaten. He'll go in and score. Matthew Johns. He gets the try for the Knights. To the left now for O'Davis. He holds the ball up, gets it to Russell Wire, and Wire scores the try. McCormack scampers from dummy half to the 10-metre line. Good defence. A tackle that had to be made was made by Wallace. Now, is he? Yes. He didn't mark up directly in front. It's a penalty for Newcastle. Andrew Johns from just 10 metres out. Newcastle leading now by 10 points to 6. Coleman floating it out. Vowles to Mubang. Sargent's after him. Oh, great tackle. But now Bartram. Bartram's away. He'll score. Here's the equaliser. Bartram gets the try. This young fullback, Alan Kempnich, has been thrown the ball. What an assignment for a kid who I'm led to believe is on debut today in the top grade. If he kicks this, he won't only be a hero on the coast, he'll be a national hero. He's on the sideline. He's almost in the crowd as he starts his approach. On its way, it's left the boot perfectly. It's a beauty! That's a match-winning kick from the youngster. 12-10 now, the Seagulls. They have won.
How times have changed. Seagull Stadium is now a housing complex. We saw centres passing to centres and halfbacks passing to 5'8".
Some great players there too, the Johns brothers and Sarge leading them out, and Adrian Vowles there for for the Coast, and Wayne Bartram, the winning try, champions.
Yeah, and one person as we look forward to today's game between the Gold Coast and Newcastle that, let me think, would have been a very young baby at that stage, Dane Gagai, a Queenslander. His father, Ray, of course, a very well-known name in Queensland. Hasn't he made his centre position here at Newcastle his own after, well, being let go by the Brisbane Broncos? His career was on a precipice and he's stood up and he's a terrific young player.
They did him a big favour, the Broncos, didn't they? And of course, they had to, he needed to sharpen up his act and sort of put on notice that he'd be lost to the game if he didn't get things sorted, because they always knew he could play, and what a wonderful talent he is. And what about that combination that he's got with Lote out on the right there? Because, he can slip that beautiful one-handed pass out wide as well. He's a talent, real talent.
Yeah, he was a scholarship holder with the North Queensland Cowboys as well, Dane Gagai. He's a good young player, and keep an eye on him this afternoon. And another player that has joined the Newcastle Knights, of course, Jeremy Smith, who had success with Wayne Bennett at St George Illawarra. Taking some time, I think, to find his feet here at Newcastle, but you need those hard heads in the side if your side's going to be successful.
Yeah, well, one thing that hasn't waned is his ferocity in defence and his aggression in there, and he's around the middle of the ruck, the edge of the ruck, really adds some starch there. I like the way he plays, and he brings a lot to the team. You're right. He had tried to find his feet or where to play in attack, but I think that's the case for a few of these Knights players.
Well, they're not lacking in experience, Newcastle, this afternoon. We've seen a couple of one old head, one young head. There's no more older. I think it's the first time since what badge 1948 that we've got two 35-year-olds playing in the one side today, or approaching 35, and that being, of course, Willie Mason and Danny Buderus and Craig Gower. And Gower, of course, coming back to the NRL. It's his second game back. And it's an extraordinary story, really, for a player to change codes. He's played for Italy in rugby. He's now back again playing in the NRL. It's an achievement in itself.
It is. It's massive. From all reports, he was playing good footy over there, and he got 32 minutes in this game, and then he's had a week off as well because of the bye. So that'd help him get over all the soreness. He'll be ready to go again. I expect he's going to get a bit more time tonight. But gee, you're doing Willie Mason a disservice. He's only 33.
He's not too far away, but certainly not. But for Craig Gower to come back and force his way into the NRL side is a testament to his ability and also to his perseverance. And we wish him the best of luck this afternoon. His coach is Wayne Bennett. Andy Raymond caught up with him a short time ago.
Wayne, we've just taken a look at Craig Gower. What type of impact has he had in limited time so far?
Oh, not a great deal, to be honest with you. But he was good in Melbourne for us. He didn't overplay anything, but it'll take him a little while to settle in. But he doesn't lack confidence, and he brings some qualities that we need.
4 straight losses. Is there a common factor that's concerning you?
Yeah, probably the penalties. The refs to give 3 penalties in about a 3-minute period there that were mandatory penalties, and we finished up with none of them. So that's been our biggest issue, just getting a bit of a fair rub of the green, I think.
In tough times, it's nice to have tough players, and you've got one of the toughest returning in Danny Buderus. It's a timely and nice welcome back.
Yeah, I'm really pleased to have him back today. It means a lot to this club. He's got a tremendous following within the team itself. The guys all respect him enormously. They all want to play with him, and we've missed him all season. So he's been through 2 operations. We gave him the opportunity to retire. He didn't want that. He wanted to finish playing his career here, and so he's here today, and his back's great. He's done all the training, so looking forward to him playing.
Finally, are you mud runners or not?
I've got no idea what we'll do today in this conditions, but the good part is both teams got to play in it, so we just got to handle it.
Good luck.
Thanks.
A hit of a smile there from Wayne Bennett, and he spoke of Danny Buderus there, Gary. Quite an extraordinary achievement from Danny to get back on the park. There were some fears that he may not play again. That back injury, that back problem he had is quite severe.
As Wayne said, they suggested he could retire if he thought that was the best thing to do. I think it's a credit that Wayne has just thrown him straight in and said, look, no other game. He's not going to play park footy or come off the bench. He's straight into the action, and that's we know this is a tough player, Danny Buderus, and I really hope he gets through the full game.
It's all about patience. It's all about field position and not making mistakes in your own end. Andy and Adam, your final thoughts?
Yeah, the rain has stopped. There is more on the way, according to the radar. Adam McDougall, considering the veterans in this Newcastle side, it could actually suit their calm heads, these difficult conditions.
It certainly will. I think in Wayne Bennett brand of football, we all know he likes to play conservative football, error-free. So, the Knights, I think these conditions really suit them.
We said earlier, a huge day for the Newcastle Knights, 4 straight losses. The introduction of Craig Gower into the game. Will he play at 7? Will he play at 9? Or will he play a little bit of both, as a matter of fact?
I think you'll see him play both positions, but he's there mainly to cover for Denny Buderus. He's been out for a long period of time. His legs aren't as young as they used to be, and it's a big ask to throw him straight back in. But he's eager, and he can't wait to get out there, Denny, and nervous, but Craig Gower's a quality player as well.
I'm a massive fan of Danny Buderus on and off the field. Look forward to his return today. He'll be one of the veterans giving it to these young Gold Coast halves in Albert Kelly and Aidan Caesar. They're going to get a physical and a verbal test today.
Well, they certainly will. Willie will be letting them know that he's around as well. And, for me, Albert Kelly's been a revolution. He's scored 10 tries this year, 7 try assists, 8 line breaks. He's an excitement machine. And Aidan Caesar controls the game. He guides them around the field. His kicking game's outstanding. But let's not forget Jarrod Mullen, as well as Tyrone Roberts. They're both quality halves as well. So this is going to be an exciting matchup between these two. And whichever forward pack can lay the best platform will be the team that wins.
You're tipping the Knights, are you? Why?
I just think the Knights under Wayne Bennett, I just think he's so hard on their skills. I remember the first year that he come here, all they did in the off-season, the boys, was learn how to catch and pass again. He's so hard on the fundamentals. He won't tolerate errors. And today, if you can't hold on to the football, you'll pay dearly.
I can see the Gold Coast Titans getting up in a thriller. I think an upset is on the cards, Mark.
Yeah, well, the weather certainly does have an impact. It brings the sides back together, Gary. And I think in these conditions, we don't often see the weather as bad as it has been this week in Sydney. And I reckon the experience of the Newcastle Knights in these conditions may just get them over the line.
Yeah, experience in key positions is the thing. And Buderus at hooker, Mullen more experienced in the halves than the Titans halves. Patience is one of the real keys today.
And not get frustrated at mistakes. You're going to make them.
We saw it last night, Tigers against the Storm. You're going to see a lot of space on the edges. It's very difficult to get the long balls out there. You got to bide your time.
And your back three, your fullback and wingers getting in and doing those hard yards to get you out of your own end.
Yeah, and look, all 4 of these wingers are good at that, but who's going to have the most impact? That'll be important.
Yeah, we'll talk about the result, where we think it's going in a very short time. We better find out what the punters have to say about this afternoon. From the TAB, here's Matt Jenkins.
Well, Newcastle haven't won since round 10, but they are favourites for this one in front of their home crowd. Well, Gold Coast, they'll fancy their chances. They don't mind the trip to the Hunter Stadium. They've won 2 of the last 3. They're getting a pretty decent start to 4.5 going to the Titans. As we have a look at the first try scorer market, Newcastle, they've been quick out of the blocks this year at home. They've scored the first try of the game in their last 5 matches as well. Plenty of value to be had there. Remember, you can bet live on this one on 133 390. Check out all the markets at tab.com.au.
Thanks, Matt. Well, earlier in the week, I thought the Gold Coast would win the game today because they just seem to be playing a little bit more consistent football than Newcastle. But these conditions, I believe, bring Newcastle back in it. They've got some old heads, some experienced heads. Gary, who will win and why?
Well, I'm going to stick with the Titans because they've surprised me this year how good they've been with their new halves pairing. They were very good last week against the Storm. Went close against the Rabbitohs a couple of weeks before that in Cairns. There's a lot to like about them. They keep surprising me, and they're playing with a lot of maturity. Those young halves. I think the Titans will be hard to toss.
Is this one of those games that both coaches at the start of the year look at the draw and say, well, Gold Coast, if we want to be a top 4 side, we've got to win in Newcastle, and Newcastle say if we want to be a top 8 side, we've got to beat the Gold Coast at home?
Well, yeah, I think the Knights would say that they should be able to beat the Titans, but yeah, conversely, Gold Coast, this Knights side is all over the shop, aren't they? And their last 4 weeks have been pretty poor, and I think if they can get them early, if they get the jump on them early, I think the Knights are going to find it tough to come back.
We will take a break here from Hunter Stadium. The rain looks like it might be on its way back, but the players will be on their way out onto the field shortly. It is NRL Sunday, the Knights and the Titans.
As the siren sounds, the referee says, boys, we've had enough. Don't the Titans believe those words? They have had enough. A horrible afternoon for the Gold Coast, a magical one for Newcastle. The Knights, 8 tries to 3, 46 points to 16 winners.
Yeah, from the moment they started exploiting, well, they found some space on the left in the 10th minute with a try to Roberts. The Knights didn't look back. It was wonderful play down that edge, and really a lesson learnt there for the Gold Coast Titans. Some work to do defensively.
A huge lesson.
It just shows how critical it is, those combinations you have on the edge in defence, and how vulnerable you can be if you don't get it right. He was quite good, Darius Boyd, in those early stages.
2 seconds.
They're all smiles, the Knights boys. Some standout performers. James McManus, 4 tries, was fabulous. Was also very busy with the football.
Got Denny Buderus, mate. Good to see you, Bedsy, mate. What a performance today, hey?
Yeah, it's good, mate. It's hard when you go out to a lead like that to keep concentration. We spoke about that at half-time. The challenge was to not only keep them to 0, but to concentrate for the full 80. And as you saw there, as a disappointing probably last 10. So, but at the end of the day, you got to walk off here with your head held high. It was 2 points we had to have.
And mate, I noticed how aggressive the guys were. Must-win game today. Was there a lot of talk about being aggressive?
Yeah, I think it set us up. The game got set up by our defence, and it was aggressive, and our guys in the middle did really well. And I guess when it's a little bit wet, you can cramp up a little bit and tighten up and get some good line speed, and we did that today.
And mate, on a personal note, the back looked really good out there, and that hit you copped was a good one.
Yeah, Bertie. That's what you get for supporting the Bulldogs. Getting hungry for tries, but no, it pulled up okay, and looking forward to see how it pulls up in the morning and go from there.
Mate, great to see you back. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, Doogie.
Cheers, mate.
That's the test for Danny Buderus, how it pulls up tomorrow morning. Didn't play like a 35-year-old, doesn't feel like a 35-year-old. He just feels like a winner. A massive victory to his Newcastle Knights. After the break, a look back at what we've just seen as we get ready also for a 6:30 kickoff tonight, NRL Sunday, a massive day on Australia's sports leader. Hope you've enjoyed all the action. We hope you're warm. It's been one of those afternoons here at Hunter Stadium. All smiles for the Knights, anything but for the Titans. From Newcastle, it's good afternoon.
This has been a production of Fox Sports in partnership with the National Rugby League.
Jamal Idris appears to have played his last game of the season, suffering a suspected broken ankle in the Gold Coast 46-16 hammering at the hands of Newcastle. As Liam Cox reports, the Knights snapped a 4-game losing streak in resounding fashion.
The nightmare in Newcastle. Jamal Idris driven to hospital with an horrific injury.
Here it goes here. Oh!
From there, the Titans sunk quicker than the Titanic.
Wide to McManus. It's worked again.
36-0 after 30 minutes. This was an absolute carver.
Even the cheer girls in these freezing conditions are keeping warm the amount of dancing and exercise they've done this afternoon.
James McManus scored 3 of the 6 first-half tries.
This could be anything this afternoon.
Sponsored by Jetstar, the Titans were searching for an emergency flight home at half-time.
The game got set up by our defence, and it was aggressive, and our guys in the middle did really well.
A 30-point pasting. McManus equalled the club record, 4 tries in a match.
They just beat us at the start there and out-enthused us, and got away to a good lead that we couldn't chase down.
Club captain Nate Miles could hardly watch. Liam Cox, 10 News.
Ken's back with Sport Next. Right.
Nothing is quite as important as that. That was beautiful. Thank you, Deb. Hello again. James McManus has equalled a club record with a try spree.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Jamal Idris made an unfortunate start, limping off after just 4 minutes. The Knights ripped through the Titans like a tornado. James McManus as happy as a pig in mud. He had a hat-trick inside half an hour and kept sliding in for more glory. His smile said it all. McManus, the league's leading try scorer with 15. Newcastle won 46-16. Ben's Hammerley, 9 News.
The Rabbitohs have a 5-point buffer at the top of the ladder. The Roosters and the Seagulls clash tomorrow. The Knights have moved into the top 8. The Tigers are only 2 points behind them.
Well, after a big win for the Knights yesterday, Wayne Bennett backed try-scoring machine James McManus for a Blues recall. The winger cooled his heels at the team's recovery session today and said it was a pretty big honour to score 4 tries in a match, joining 5 other Knights who have achieved the feat, including Adam McDougall.
Yeah, I saw the Mad Dog straight after the game, and he let me know that was the record. So I think he was ready to come out of retirement if I'd broken it. But it's obviously a great thing to be a part of. I think there's a number of us now that have reached that at the Newcastle Knights, and it's a great group to be a part of.
Yes, McManus having a field day down the left side after Titan Jamal Idris went off with a leg injury. Now, he had surgery today and his season is unfortunately over. Well, the Bulldogs and Knights also head north with Mackay hosting its second NRL match, and the game is being billed as the Barbas v the Gagais, with both Ben and Dane from the central Queensland city. In Newcastle, Gagai's teammates are expecting his family will outnumber the Barbas on Sunday afternoon.
Oh, he said about 50, so he's already put in 50 tickets. I'm not even joking, 50 tickets. So that would be good. It'd be good to meet them all.
I think Gags has asked for about 1,000 tickets, so hopefully we'll have a bit of support up there too.
Nah, that's a porky. I have asked for 30 though, but we'll see how we go getting those.
Yeah, this is the Sunday Footy Show, and after robbing Daniel Morton from about 20 points for getting in the way, Erin Mullen now joins us to go around the grounds.
That is so very harsh, but yes, I do.
25, I just softened the blow for you.
Yeah, actually, that was really quite kind of you. Thank you. Now, Craig Gower is back in the NRL, and the Knights veteran says that he is back playing for one reason only.
To win, straight up. It's to come back and be coached by Wayne is a very positive thing. To be in this group of players with so much talent, now it's about winning and trying to focus on playing well for the team and doing my role.
We got the New South Wales team announced tonight. A little bit of speculation about their halves. You've been there at that level. What would you do going into Game 3 for New South Wales?
Well, it's a big call. They've said that they're going to stick with the halves, and if that's what they've said, then you have to do that. And but obviously it's make or break. If they don't perform and they don't win that game, well, maybe you have to look out elsewhere then, because they've been given a crack and it hasn't come up to standards. So they were very positive in the first game, and the second game the forwards dominated, and it's very hard for the halves then to dominate. And so it's up to the pack to put a good base down for the halves and then for the halves to excel after that.
The Knights, of course, play the Bulldogs in Mackay this afternoon. Jeremy Smith, it will be his 150th game. We asked him about a career highlight.
Probably the first game I ever played in NRL. I never thought I would have played NRL. I went to Manly in 2002, and I just thought, I'd lost my opportunity, and then Melbourne picked me up, and I suppose, playing for Melbourne for 4 or 5 years was certainly a highlight. Definitely playing for the Kiwis. That was probably one of my proudest moments I've had over the years.
Can you turn the clock back to that guy, Jeremy Smith, the one that ran out for his first game? What was he like?
I think I'm still the same, actually. I'd hope to be still the same. I can still remember the game, actually. We played Canberra in 2004, and actually I scored a try on my first touch, so I was pretty lucky. And I suppose. Some more tries would be nice, but I suppose, like I said, after it's all said and done, I can look back and have a look at all the milestones that I have made and played in and games and whatnot, and certainly soak it up then.
As the roar goes up as the Newcastle Knights make their way out onto Energy Australia Stadium for the first time in season 2007.
Yeah, 2007, big year ahead, first year under Bryan Smith, obviously Joey being captain, and didn't last long. Joe was snoring with a few minutes into the first game.
John Stebbing goes for the line.
And his tackle just short. Sonny Bill Williams is going to be cautioned here.
Huge disappointment seeing Joey knocked out on the ground. They had Sonny Bill sent off straight away. They were down to 12, but It was like us being down to 10 without Joey at that stage of our career. We took the 2 points, but it wasn't long before Andrew Ryan crossed over.
Bryan, he gets through one, reaches out and scores.
Yeah, they kept coming pretty strong, the Dogs. They'd had a big year the year before, and we knew they were a good team, and it wasn't long before Luke Patton crossed over, and then not far after that, Rennie Matua.
Mature on his outside, he's going to bar Jay the tie and score.
Yeah, we're down 18-2, and probably a few demons in the back of the head for all of us as players, and thinking we need to dig deep and we need to fight. It's our first home game, it's our first round of the year, and we need to show our fans what we're all about, and we need to bounce back.
Has stolen a try.
Approaching half-time, a danger period for all teams, and unfortunately for us, Trent Cutler goes over in the corner and Al Mazari kicks it from the sideline.
It's coming back, it's coming back, it's coming back!
We definitely need to be the first team that scored first in the second half, and luckily we did. I think I jumped out of dummy half, tipped it on to Mullen, and Mullen short ball to Josh Perry, and he crashed over.
Perry under the post, Newcastle has scored, and it's 24-12.
Yeah, so we can definitely feel the momentum coming back our way, which was nice in the second half. Scored a couple of quick tries, unplanned tries too. They were just sort of off the cuff, a couple of offloads, and same thing again.
He keeps it alive to Polgrave, turns it inside to McManus. McManus gets past Holdsworth, and they're level here at Newcastle. The Knights are well and truly back in it.
Yeah, so 8 minutes to go. Game's on the line, 24-all. I look up, Clint Newton's in at dummy half, not known for his passing game,
Has kicked the one-pointer.
Right at the end of the game, I remember they spread the ball and they made a clean break. To see that ball, come across in front of my face. And unfortunately for them, they spilt the ball, but it was just relief and excitement to win the game after what we've been through. And the rest is history.
I had a feeling we might get a similar game up there this afternoon. Both sides in pretty good form, although the Bulldogs do come off a loss. But before that, playing some great footy. They do come off the bye, of course, and you stayed down in that one, hey? That game,
yeah.
That years ago.
I don't remember much of that game. I think the next game I lasted the 80 minutes. But yeah, if it was one stiff arm to run into, it was like getting hit in the head with a leg of lamb, Sonny Bill's arm. Maybe look at the size of it. But,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, don't remember too much. I think I retired about 2 weeks later. Okay. That was the end.
You still bitter?
No.
It just happens, doesn't it?
Couldn't care less.
There it is. OK, well, as I say, it really shapes as a good contest up there. The Gold Coast thrashed by the Newcastle side last week. Sunday football, Virgin Australia Stadium up in Mackay. The Dogs taking on the Knights. It is a Dogs home game. You'll see it from 4 p.m. They took the game up there against Melbourne last week and last year, and had good success with that one. That game they were talking about back in round 10, 44-8, the Newcastle side won that one, 32-0 second half. I don't think we'll see that this afternoon. Now, thanks to sportsbet.com.au, you can see here the Bulldogs, very strong favourites, $1.50, $2.65 the outsiders. There's value there for the Novo Cash Tunes. The line bet is plus or minus 5.5 for the 192. No surprise, first try scorer, Benny Barba, $8. Willie, another prolific try scorer, the next best at $9. Now, there is a money back in this game, again from sportsbet.com.au. On the first and last try scorer bets, if Darius Boyd scores, they'll return your money there. So Darius Boyd in good form of late for the Newcastle Knights. And they've had some really good success with their money back offers this year.
And McManus has celebrated his Origin recall with a try in Newcastle's upset win over the Bulldogs. On a miserable Mackay day, the Knights opened the scoring through Chris Houston before the Flying Scot backed up last week's 4-try performance.
And McManus, it's McManus! He gets another one, James McManus!
The win puts the Knights into 6th spot on the NRL ladder.
Recall Blues winger James McManus continued his try-scoring form for the Knights this afternoon. It made for an unhappy homecoming for Ben Barba in Mackay, his Bulldogs losing 18-12.
The weather couldn't quite make up its mind in Mackay. Newcastle knew exactly where they were headed. Josh Reynolds let Houston slip through. Redemption was sweet. A former Bulldog put the bite on the opposition.
Oh, what about the tackle from Willie Meister?
James McManus scored his 5th try in 2 weeks, worthy of an Origin recall.
He gets another one, James McManus. He's in rare form, the winger.
Loose centre Josh Morris dragged defenders with him, even with his pants pulled down.
I'm glad we're getting the side view and the front view, but when you get the back view, he's
He strides around his knee.
An even scarier sight was Mitch Brown's KO.
And he's coughed the ball up, and he's out cold, Mitch Brown.
35 years young, Danny Buderus outsmarted the Dogs' defence. The siren failed to sound in time, but even with a few extra seconds, Canterbury couldn't crack them again.
Ben Barba couldn't inspire the Bulldogs to victory in his hometown of Mackay this afternoon. Last night, the Roosters and the Panthers both scored big wins. Today, the Raiders downed the Cowboys, while the Knights came from behind to defeat the Dogs.
Rain didn't deter Mackay footy fans hoping for another Ben Barba magic show. The hometown hero nearly delivered straight away.
How will Newcastle stop Barba so close to the line?
Josh Reynolds was a speed hump as Chris Houston crossed for the Knights. He quickly made amends.
Oh, great play, Reynolds!
Big Willie zeroed in on James Graham.
Oh, what about the tackle from Willie Mason?
8 all at the break. Josh Morris nearly lost his shorts while putting the Dogs in front.
How about the strength of Josh Morris?
They couldn't deliver the knockout blow. Newcastle fighting back to score a rare away win.
Now, a lot of news around at the moment, referring to Jarrod Hayne, a lot of people with State of Origin. And to give us the latest, we've got Lara Pitt. G'day, Lara. How you doing?
Good evening, guys. You mentioned it. The Blues are in camp, and already they've had to rule out Jarrod Hayne with a hamstring injury. But James McManus is ready and raring to go. The Knights winger admitting that getting a recall to the Blues feels like he's gotten a bit of the monkey off his back. McManus joined the Blues late today as the team had a light run. It'll be his first Origin appearance since his debut back in 2009.
Yeah, we got the call about midday. I was just off the plane and on my way home, and Lote said Haynesy was no good, and I'm starting. So yeah, it's it's all happening now. So it's exciting. To be selected here again. It is great. It's sort of probably a monkey off my back. It's something I've wanted to do again, and it's been a few years, so I finally got here.
Time now to welcome in a couple of special guests, Willie Mason and Matt King. Thanks for joining us, gents.
No worries, Bennett.
Very good. Tell you who else is going good. The Newcastle Knights, good victory over the Dogs up in Mackay. Just quickly, how was the team received, or the game received by regional Queensland?
Yeah, it was great. We arrived there on Thursday, and the hospitality was unbelievable. We stayed at the Lanai Apartments. We did a lot of coaching clinics. All that kind of stuff that comes with it, and the public were great. They showed up in I think it was about 10,000 people there, and showed some really good support. Obviously there was a lot more Bulldog supporters, but we had some guys like Dane Gagai and Neville Costigan that were Mackay boys. So there was a few. There was a bit of a support for us, but they were mainly going for Benny Barba.
Yeah, the Knights are on a roll and have pushed into 6th spot on the ladder off the back of a team with much life experience. Newcastle journalist Barry Tuqiri points out in the Daily Telegraph, we keep hearing it's a young man's game. Don't believe it. And in case you were wondering just how senior the Knights footy team is, we've assembled, Willie, you'll like this, a list of the 12 oldest players in the NRL, affectionately titled the 30 dozen. Now, you see that list, 4 players from the Knights made it. Does that make you feel proud, or are you worried?
It makes me feel proud because, I think a lot of the teams that we're playing lately are really feeling the wrath of some old boys really giving it to them. We're playing against some teams there that, they've got 20-year-olds running into men, and they're getting dealt with. So, I'm happy to play with Jeremy Smith and Danny Buderus any day.
You're a much better side, aren't you, when those guys are actually in the pack?
Oh, for sure. You feel a lot more confident with them. Danny, we haven't had a number 9 all year, and with Danny, what Danny brings, everybody who's played with Danny Buderus or against him knows that, he competes at 100%, and everything that he does is 100%. So. It's just great to have Bedsy back, and it'd be great for us to send him out the way that he deserves.
Kingy, what would an older player bring that perhaps a younger player doesn't?
Well, it's easy to say experience, but you mentioned those 4 guys at Newcastle. I've been fortunate enough to play with all 4 of those guys, and they're champion blokes. So it's when you get someone with experience who's a great person, you get almost the total package. The experience and the leadership they give to the younger blokes is, in this day and age, with the amount of pressure that's on the young players, is invaluable.
Hey, you mentioned Danny Buderus. How has Craig Gower settled in?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I think because the amount of player, we went on tour together like 03, 4, 5, 6, and he was a part of that, and so was Danny Buderus. and myself, you know, and you know, he fit right in because you know, he's played a lot of football with Gids, and you know, a lot of the other guys he didn't really know, but you know, he's a social bloke, and he loves to get to know everybody, and you know, everybody loves a pig, and he's back.
Willie Mason, Matt King, thanks for your time.
Cheers, guys.
Always, boys. When we return on NRL 360's The Coaches Market, who's in it and who's about to be in it? Back shortly.
One man who was ruled out of that series with a shoulder injury and also out of contention this year because of a foot injury joins us to preview next week's State of Origin decider. Now, he's a veteran of 12 Origin games, 5 times captain of the Blues, there he is, and he made his debut for New South Wales back in 2007. Not many blokes can do what he just did there, drag Greg Inglis down. And in 2010, he was awarded the Brad Fittler Medal as New South Wales Player of the Series. Cool under pressure as a goal kicker as well. Kurt Gidley joins us. Good to see you, Kurt. How you going?
Yeah, good, boys. How's it going?
Mate, very well. Before we get on to the game itself, we were talking earlier about the scheduling of this. Now, you've seen it from both sides as a player for the Blues and also how it affects club level with Newcastle. It would seem to me that at the moment the NRL competition is really struggling. The crowds are very poor. They always tend to drop off around this time when players are unavailable. The interest is elsewhere. We were suggesting before maybe play them back to back on 3 weekends and reduce the series while not reducing the importance. As a player, where do you stand with all of that?
Yeah, I think that's too big then. I definitely think you can play them standalone, make it a huge event on one weekend, but still have the 2 club games in between because, you know, we've seen with players this year and in the past, you know, you can pick up an injury with in an Origin game and then miss a club game or 2 in between and then, you know, still be right for the next Origin. I can't see too many guys, you know, the 17 picked for first Origin, if you're going to play them 3 weeks in a row, too many guys playing all 3 games.
I think I'll take that back because I can remember you'd play in a club game but take you 2 days to get over and Origin take you 5 days.
Yeah.
So I think I'll take it back.
So we haven't solved
it. I haven't solved it.
Well, I thought we'd solve the whole world.
I can't solve it. It hurts.
Dave Smith, cancel that earlier, Uber.
You know, another issue too, which comes into play, often a suspension in State of Origin gets used up in clubland. Oh, yeah. For instance, if it was the first game, no Paul Gallen game too.
Yeah. No, I definitely think, you know, an Origin, a standalone weekend, you know, make it a huge event. It's already a big event, but one Origin game.
I think the point is that not that the Origin's suffering. I don't think the interest in Origin has ever been bigger than it is right now. But I think the interest in the competition is waning to a point where I can't remember it being so low. And I don't think we're going to afford that for 7 or 8 weeks.
No, I think no club footy that week. Just one Origin game during that week, and the club teams have a rest.
A big in for your side, James McManus. For Newcastle, he's always been solid as a rock, playing outside Mad Dog in the past. You can't score tries on this bloke, and he's also showing some try scoring now himself. But what I'm interested to see is he's a left-sided winger. So too's Brett Morris. Do you expect the Morris boys to pair up on the right now, McManus to stay on the left, or will McManus be on the right-hand side?
You're probably better off asking the coach in a few minutes, but Jimmy's the ultimate professional. He does everything. He ticks all the boxes through the week, whether it's recovery or preparation for the games or extras at the end of a training session. He does it all, and he's just so focused. I've got absolute confidence in him for this game.
So it would be 2 teammates if he does go on the right-hand side. Boyd versus McManus, who you tipping to have a better game?
Well, I think, you know, Buderus has been, you know, he's been an outstanding Origin player and he's scored plenty of tries down that side. If I could pick a winger to defend him, it'd be James.
Now, let's get on to the games that we've got this weekend, Kurt, and the Knights. The weekend off after that hard-fought win over Canterbury and Mackay, but see, again, we get to the scheduling. Teams like Brisbane and Cronulla playing tomorrow night at Suncorp Stadium. I mean, these are 2 vital points up for grabs and both teams significantly weakened.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, the Sharks have been playing really well. I think, you know, they've got a few of their star players out, but, I mean, the Bronx, they need to find something, don't they?
What's been the turning point, Kurt, for your team? Why the last couple of weeks you've strung it together? What's turned things around?
Look, we probably had a chat about a month ago and just we knew what block we had at the end of the towards the end of the year, and we were starting to get a few guys back. We had a pretty ordinary start of the year with some injuries and the way we were playing the game. And we had a game down in Melbourne against Melbourne we were right up for. We got beat by 2 points in the end, but I think it was a turning point for us in just our determination, our attitude and the way we're approaching games.
Well, Kurt, I know hopefully we'll be back in about 4 weeks for Newcastle. When you do, you're going to bring down the average age by about 6 years, we reckon. So good luck, mate. We look forward to seeing you back on the paddock.
Thanks, good to be here.
Good to see you. Kurt Gidley for the Newcastle Knights, former New South Wales State of Origin captain.
Should I stay or should I go?
Adams in his tackle from dummy half goes Craig Gower. Craig Gower is in for the touchdown.
Gower turns with the Gower in very dangerous place to the line. And Gower goes in to score. It's Gower. Gower, he's got rid of the defenders. Craig Gower with brute strength.
You can just walk back into first grade rugby league after years away and pick up where you left off.
And our next guest could dash out of the studio at any time tonight, not because he's nervous or we're giving him a hard time, but because his beautiful wife Amanda is about to give birth to, I think, their second child at any time. So we do appreciate. You do realise, Craig, if you're not there for the birth, you're never forgiven.
Yeah, I know that, Pete.
So you put some pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make the child an overcastry? It's one of you. Absolutely.
It does. Well, I have to ask you, you played 12 seasons at Penrith and you decided to head overseas and you've been over there for quite a while. Did you ever envisage that you would come back to the NRL and that you would be going back to Penrith, where you were born and where you played so many games, in different colours to take on the Panthers?
No, I didn't. You know, I really thought that my time was over in Australia in the rugby league sense. So to come back was a surprise. But you know, I got the itch that I wanted to try and give it another crack when I was in London, and Wayne gave me an opportunity, and I thought, you know, one of the best coaches to ever coach the game, and why not? 3 games under your belt now. How have you found it? Yeah, it's been difficult, you know. It's you know, just learning how to play hooker again, because I didn't think I was going to play hooker. So that was he didn't tell me that.
That wasn't negotiated.
He didn't tell me that. He just said, "Yeah, come back," and I thought, "Oh yeah, that'll be right." And didn't think I'd be playing in the middle, but it's been good. It's you know, obviously it's a difficult role to play. You know, I'm learning my way again. You know, having Benji there back in there is great. You know, interchanging that way, and you know, I've got a set task to do, and if I just continually work hard and hopefully I play well, and hopefully I'll be in the 17.
Gowie, what a great, I mean, congratulations, what a great career. I mean, you start for a Penrith boy, you win a grand final there, but to be able to go over, you play a bit of rugby in France, in Bayonne, and then you play for the Italian national side. I mean...
And I must say, Matty, not giving Gowie a big rap here just because he's a mate of mine, but the second year I was there, Gowie absolutely dominated the competition and was one of the best 10s in the competition. And considering all the international number 10s that were over there, I think it was a big feat. So, yeah, as Matty says, you know, to do that...
What a career, mate. Like, I mean, I envy you blokes, and you did it, Gaz, to be able to go over the other side of the world and just do something different. How much did you enjoy it, and how important was it for you at that point in your life?
Yeah, it was massive for me. I felt that I was getting stale at Penrith, and I didn't want to stay there just for the sake of staying there, and I just didn't feel like it was beneficial for myself. It wasn't beneficial for the club or the supporters, because they're the ones backing you. So it was a risky move at the time, but it was probably the best thing that I've ever done in the way of personal development, family, which I look back now and was a really big thing for me. So. You know, I have no regrets whatsoever, and now I've got the opportunity to come back and finish my career in the NRL, which I'm grateful for. Yeah, it's kind of got a certain symmetry to it that you've come back here. You mentioned Danny Buderus, working alongside him. He's taking a fair bit of pressure off you in a couple of other ways as well, because I've had a look at the oldest players in the competition. Well, I'm not going to use the word veteran. I think I used evergreen, which I thought looked after you quite well earlier. Thank you, mate. And Danny's the only one that's got you at the moment. And 4 of the players up in Newcastle actually are in the oldest 12 players of the NRL. Jeremy Smith and Willie Mason, they're 33. Yourself and Danny, 35. But, you know, whilst the word oldest is up there, it probably should be experienced. And in a competition, for a side like Newcastle, I would imagine that's invaluable, and that's why Wayne Bennett got you back. Yeah, well, there's a lot of experienced guys in the team, and there's a lot of young guys there, and I think we just complement each other at the moment. We're starting to develop as a team, you know, playing week in, week out. Our performance against the Bulldogs wasn't as what we expected, but we won.
Is that right?
We won ugly, and when you start winning ugly and then you put a good performance together, you know, back-to-back performances, you know, you start to turn, the confidence builds, and things can happen. And with that side, I think, you know, things can happen.
I was just going to say, well, this is a huge game. You come off this victory over the Bulldogs. You've won a couple in a row now, and you take on a Penrith Panthers side who found form as well. They look the goods at the moment with a bit of momentum behind them. The competition later, the Rabbitohs 4 in front of the Roosters and a 3-point gap to the Storm. Then it gets interesting. The Seagulls 23, the Sharks 1 point behind. 5 teams on 20, including yourself and the Panthers, both up in 6th and 7th spot. Good differentials there. The Raiders are on 20 points but down in 10th. The Warriors, a big game for them against the Wests Tigers tomorrow night. They are alone on 18. They take on the Tigers. Broncos, Cowboys have byes this weekend. Dragons and Eels, they look to be out of commission. So a trip to Centrebet Stadium against a Penrith side who are playing with confidence is going to be a good test for you.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I watched the last couple of their games, and I feel they're just everyone knows their role. Ivan Cleary's got them playing really good football, and it's going to be a challenge for us going down there to play on Sunday.
Okay, well, there are 2 games on Sunday in round 19. The Seagulls host the Titans at Brookvale Oval. They kick off there at 3 p.m. But before that, you'll see the crucial match between the Panthers and the Knights live from Centrebet Stadium, 2 p.m. on Fox Sports 1 HD. So, Craig, before we let you go, I've had a look back through your origin history as well, and you and Mark Gasnier could have actually nipped it in the bud. Because in 2006, you played the deciding game.
It wasn't us, it was Hodjo.
No, I've had a look at, and you were actually you were 5'8" that game, I think.
Like a second fullback. I wouldn't call myself 5'8".
You were 5'8". You had the 6 number on your back, Gaz. So all these years down the track, it could have been nipped in the bud by M. Gasnier and C. Gower.
14-4 with 7 minutes to go.
Just a simple pass out of dummy half.
We thought we're home. That would have been number 4.
Where's the most
anyway, let's not go there. What
the
are we
most
doing?
exotic place that you've watched an Origin game? Because I'm assuming you would have seen it overseas.
Actually, I didn't watch it when I was overseas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Make something up, mate. Come on in.
What's the most exotic wine you've ever tasted overseas?
The Chateau Brown is Saint-Emilion. It's next to Bordeaux. It was pretty impressive.
Penrith?
At selected outlets.
Actually, before you go, 3 months to go on the contract. What's life hold post football?
I've just bought into a organic wholesaling business called Back to Eden. So there's been a few late nights over the last couple of weeks, just starting to get down to the business and learn it. That's at Homebush. So I'm looking forward to the new learning curve after footy. And
you're definitely finishing up at the end of the year. You can't get another year out of the Wayne.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to the old boy yet, but. We'll see how we go. I just want to concentrate week to week, trying to play as well as I can for the team, and if something eventuates, it eventuates. But if not, it's time to play plenty of golf.
Back to Eden. Yeah. Back to Eden.
Back to Eden, mate.
Okay, I've been eating the organic fruit and vegetables.
I'll send you some, mate.
I'll think about a comeback.
Well, good luck with the Newcastle Knights. Enjoy the trip back to Penrith and the new business as well. And we thank you for your time, and get back to your wife's side, please.
We'll do.
Keep you in the good books. All right, that's Craig Gower there, and it's lovely to have him back in the NRL. Season is flying by. 3 games left to complete round 19 this weekend. The Penrith Panthers take on the Newcastle Knights. Both sides come into this weekend on 20 competition points. Craig Gower driving down this morning if wife Amanda doesn't have the baby. Spent 12 years there and obviously took them to a premiership victory. Lockie, Penrith, Newcastle, who do you like?
Knights. I think they're missing Kurt Gidley. They've got their best team out in the park nearly, so I like them today.
Let's head downstairs to find out what is happening with the NRL. We say good afternoon to Matt Russell and Ben Eichen.
Thank you, Mark. Well, it's an easy NRL game to promote. Quite simply, the winner this afternoon goes to 5th. The loser is left in 9th. We get to see the competition's leading 2 try scorers head-to-head. There are some great positional battles. The 2 kickers also up front. We get to see some big bodies collide and the odd milestone. So plenty involved in this game. Ben, what are you looking forward to most?
You mentioned the big boppers up front. That's what I'm most excited about. Nigel Plum not in this Penrith side this afternoon. So responsibility to win the battle through the middle falls on the shoulders of Mossy Massoy and Tim Grant. I reckon Ivan Cleary will have those 2 blokes breathing fire, because if you go back a couple of weeks and watch the Knights' victory over the Bulldogs, it was Cade Snowden and Willie Mason who led the way. So the battle up front between the front row, I think, is going to be magnificent this afternoon.
Well, Newcastle arrived at Centrebet Stadium a short time ago after back-to-back wins. Before that, it was a bye. They are hoping to make it 3 straight wins and continue this revival. Clint Newton, a thumbs up, and that's the case from all the Panthers, because they've won 7 of their last 10. Tim Grant facing a crucial role today, as touched on by Ben Ikin a moment ago. Let's have a look at the lineups. The Panthers with a change in the back line. No Brad Ty as a result. Wes Nagama plays his first NRL game, or only his second NRL game in Penrith's last 10. So an appearance in the top grade from Wes Nagama. It's the only change for coach Ivan Cleary. Over to the Newcastle Knights, who have an unchanged starting 13. Craig Gower has made it to Penrith this morning to play. David Farlongo returns to the lineup, having missed the last 2 with a knee injury. Ben, looking at those lineups, just the one change for each. What stands out to you?
For Newcastle, I think they've been building nicely towards something special. They've freshened up with the break, and I love what Penrith have done this year. You know, they haven't got much strike in their roster, but they've been really, really good, solid. They've all bought into Ivan Cleary's game plan, the way he thinks they're going to achieve success. But Newcastle under Wayne Bennett, with a very experienced roster and some strike out wide, I think can get the job done.
Well, these 2 teams met earlier on in the season. Newcastle won at 8-6. It was a game that never reached any great heights, but I think we're in for something special this afternoon with so much on the line, with so much to look forward to. We'll preview this game in detail later in the pre-game show, but after the break we head back upstairs to Mark Braybrook and Brett Camorley to review 2 wins last night for the Roosters and the Raiders, who kept the opposition to 0. You're watching NRL Sunday on Fox Sports.
Rudder, beaten on his inside, outside to Kennedy. Great ball to Robbie O, and O'Davis is over. Comes Rodwell now, kicking back off the side of the boot, straight to McDougall. The kick there was Matthew Reid, Paul Reid. McDougall was back there, now Kennedy returning the football. Away from Cross, up to the halfway line. Great ball to Robbie O'Davis, and the Knights have gone 80 metres, and O'Davis has got a double. We've only had 21 and a half. And there's the somersault for the try. That's 15 metres out. Rudder at acting half. Buderus with the kick. Robbie O for a hat-trick before half-time. Has he got it down? He's got himself a hat-trick. It's a hat-trick at Mullen Marathon Stadium.
Some great memories from 2001, Newcastle's last premiership year. Round 26, they beat Penrith 60-18. Robbie O got a hat-trick. We better mention Adam McDougall as well. The Mad Dog got 3, and even today, we've got a few candidates to get hat-tricks out here.
Yeah, there are. There's some very slick outside backs. We're going to take a closer look at a few as we get through the preview, but back in 2001, that's great vision that Newcastle Knights, Andrew Johns, Robbie O'Davis, they were at the peak of their powers then, weren't they?
A great era for Newcastle. To underline just how important this game is, let's have a look at the NRL ladder. The teams at the moment sitting on the edge of the 8 in 8th and 9th. Victory will send the winner to 5th on points differential and leave the loser outside the 8. So, Ben, when you were playing, how conscious were you of the ladder and what victories meant and didn't mean in terms of the top 8?
When you get to this part of the season, you absolutely knew what you were playing for, and there's sort of 3 areas. It's sort of avoid the wooden spoon. Nobody wants to be in that race. You're sitting outside the top 8. Well, you want to know how many games you need to win to get inside it. And then, of course, at the top of the ladder, particularly the way the finals draw is now, it's about consolidating your position in that top four because you know favourably, you know, we lean towards the top four come the final series. So as a player, you'd be reminded about your coach, and if you're in the mix for something, it'd take your desperation to another level.
James McManus scored 4 tries in that big win against Gold Coast Titans recently. That was in the Hunter. They've had a tougher time on the road, especially in Sydney in recent times, but after winning 1 from 7 mid-season, they were going backwards. Since then, a bye and back-to-back wins. How do you assess Newcastle's progression at this stage?
Look, I think they're building nicely, but a loss here today would really hurt them because when I think Newcastle, I kind of see them a lot like the Manly Seagulls. You know, they're a side that loves to get in the grind and they look battle-hardened. They've got a lot of experience, as do the Seagulls, and that's a real strength of theirs. Plus, they've got the players in the key positions starting to come into some form. I'm loving the combination of Tyrone Roberts and Jarrod. Mullen, it's coming along nicely, and if that keeps blossoming, Gidley comes back, then Newcastle could really push some of the better teams in this competition.
We've spoken about Luke Walsh, we better speak about Jarrod Mullen, who also has 3 40-20s this season. He's forced 17 dropouts, and like Walsh, he's come up with 11 try assists from kicks. So, but great boots on either side of halfway.
Yeah, well, look, we're going to be in for a treat this afternoon. You probably will see the 2 best kicking games in the competition. This guy's a complete package, though, Jarrod Mullen. He's a confidence player, though. If self-doubt starts to creep in, he can drift out of games. But over the last 12 months, Wayne Bennett's got inside his head and he's really levelled out. As I pointed to the Penrith team before, evening out the difference between their best and worst. That's exactly what Jarrod Mullen does. I don't think I've seen him turn in too many bad games in 2013.
No, Jarrod Mullen has certainly stood up in the absence of the injured Kurt Gidley. And Ben, a short time ago, you caught up with the Newcastle number 6.
Well, Jarrod, from the outside looking in, it appears as though the Knights are building towards some quality football. Is that how it feels inside the camp?
Yeah, I think for the past sort of few weeks we've put in some good performances. You know, that Melbourne game we still put in good performances and get the result, but we're looking for some consistency now. You know, we've got 8 points in 4 weeks there with the 2 buys, so hopefully another win today.
Your combination with Tyrone Roberts seems to be coming along nicely.
Yeah, it's going well. T's really stepping up the plate. He's getting more and more confident every game he plays. So all the boys got confidence in him. So he'll be looking for a big one today.
Now, you're a young bloke in this squad. What's it like having some of these older heads in the camp?
Yeah, it's good. It keeps me young, that's for sure. But definitely a lot of experience in our team, and it helps our younger fellas come through and play their best footy. So they're doing great things for us.
Good luck today.
Thanks, Benny.
Okay, that's enough time on the backs. How about we jump into the front row? There is no Nigel Plum for Penrith today, and as a result, Mossy Massoui and Tim Grant will have to handle the likes of Cade Snowden and Willie Mason. Cade Snowden has started every game for Newcastle this season. He's their leading go-forward man up front, and the battle with Grant and Snowden, I think, is another feature.
Listen, Ivan Cleary is going to have Mossy Massoui and Tim Grant breathing fire this afternoon. He knows how good Cade Snowden, this man on screen, was a couple of weeks ago against the Bulldogs. So too his front row partner, Willie Mason. Together they've kind of formed a fearsome combination, and we all know that if you can win the battle through the middle, the battle up front, it goes a long way towards determining the outcome of any match. And at the moment, Snowden and Mason in fine form, playing really good football.
Well, Ben, I know you've got a few fans in the grandstand here this afternoon, but I reckon Willie Mason outpolls you. Even Penrith fans are clapping Willie Mason here this afternoon. He's such a cold hero, and he's set to deliver again for Newcastle. What way are you leaning? It's almost a toss of the coin job on paper.
I just think Newcastle have more strike. I really feel for Penrith having a few key forwards on the sideline. Nigel Plum out this week. They don't have Matt Robinson, and of course Sam McKendry with that fractured neck earlier in the year. If they were full strength, I'd give Penrith some hope, but I'm just leaning the way of the visitors this afternoon.
It's hard to ignore the fact that Penrith have won 7 of the last 10. I'm going to go for the home team. How about Mark Braybrook and Brett Kamali upstairs?
Well, it's a tough one, Matt Russell, and you speak about the Penrith fans applauding Willie Mason. One man that they will not know whether to applaud or boo is Craig Gower. Whenever Penrith play Newcastle, we speak of Craig Gower, but normally for the Panthers today, it's quite bizarre seeing him here at Penrith in a Newcastle jersey.
A club legend, won him a grand final back in the days when he was the captain of this club. You know, round 11, 1996, he debuted for Penrith. That's an amazing career. So I think they will say thank you to Craig Gower. And I think for Craig Gower, this will be an emotional day. How
tough will it be for him?
I think he'll be so excited. I think this would be awesome to come back to a place that you never thought you'd have the opportunity to play against, ever, when he went to rugby union. He will look forward to today. This was his home ground. This is what he looked forward to playing every day as a kid. I want to play at Penrith Park. Well, today, he gets to play at Penrith Park but against them. I think it'll be very, very emotional, but I think you should be very proud and looking forward to a good contest.
It'll be a good day today for Craig Gower to come back to Penrith, even though it is in a Newcastle jersey. What do the punters think, thanks to the TAB? Let's hear from Matt Jenkins.
Well, both these teams come into today's clash with a little bit of winning momentum. It's Penrith who will enjoy the home ground advantage today, and they're going for 4 straight wins, while Newcastle, they improved their away record last time out in Mackay, and of course they'll try and build on that today. And let's have a look at the first try scorer market. Interesting to note, Newcastle, they've been quick away when they've been playing away from home. They've scored that first try 5 of their last 6 as well. So have a look at some of their players as well. They're $23 to win the competition. Penrith $51. You can bet live today on 133 390. All the markets are at tab.com.au.
Thanks, Matt. It is a toss of the coin today. Penrith, the home ground advantage, but a number of players, as the boys mentioned, out injured. There's so much to play for. These two teams are desperate to force their way into the top 8. The winner will leapfrog the Canberra Raiders. Brett, how do you see it going?
Well, on paper they're so both close. You know, scored the most points, equal tries against. You know, top 2 try scorers in the competition. The halves do have a great kicking game. I think it's going to be a victory, but a big victory to Newcastle today. I think I'm going to run against the trend of everyone else. I think the halves will be too good, too many points in the Newcastle side. They're confident, they're upbeat, and I just think it'll go against the trend. I think Newcastle will win quite comfortably.
Well, that's a big tip there from Brett Kamali. The Penrith Panthers at home, always hard to beat. A number of injuries though, but they do like a battle. I think the Panthers might just edge it out. The kickoff is not too far away. It is the Panthers at home to the Knights.
And it finishes 32-14 to the visitors, the Newcastle Knights. With Craig Gower a try scorer, Newcastle's flag waving high and proud. And Newcastle victorious at Penrith. We will break and then return to Centrebet Stadium.
Dream return to Penrith for Craig Gower as the Knights thrash the Panthers. Well, Craig Gower has starred for Newcastle in a comfortable win over Penrith this afternoon. The former Panther scored one of the Knights' 6 tries in the 32-14 point win. Adding to the loss, 2 Panthers were placed on report. Mark Ashton has the details.
A home away from home, Craig Gower returned to Penrith for the first time since 2007, but in Newcastle colours, and it was clear early the veteran and his Knights teammates weren't going to receive any favours.
I'm going to say that the hand without the ball is actually on the turf.
Green lights! What on earth has happened at Penrith?
Newcastle tried its luck on the flanks as well and spread the ball to Lote, who responded with his first try in 6 games. The Knights identified a weakness on Penrith's left, and more success gave them a 10-8 half-time lead.
Darius Boyd, dummies, runs! The man who put them on the attack finishes the play.
A rare smile from Wayne Bennett suggested he was pleased with Newcastle's first half, and the never-say-die effort of Gower would have provided further enjoyment.
I think it misses the arms and he grounds it with his torso.
Mossy Massoy landed a shoulder charge that even he deemed bad enough to place on report, but Newcastle preferred to issue a different brand of punishment.
Uwate, too strong, that close to the line.
5th place beckoned for the Knights when Cade Snowden barged over near the sticks, and Neville Costigan ran in another at the death to kill off the Panthers in a 32-14 thrashing. Mark Ashton, 10 News.
A Panther was harmed during the filming of this vision. Adam Docker has a broken cheekbone. Even their most one-eyed supporter couldn't have argued that Dean Fare's try against the Knights was legitimate.
Green lights! What on earth has happened at Penrith?
No doubt about the Knights' response. Tries from Darius Boyd and Uwate put them in the box seat. One famous former Panther was playing against his old club for the first time.
Claiming the try, Craig Gower.
Scoring against the side where he debuted in '96 was worth the face plant. Lewis Brown nearly broke a nose. He's on report after a forgettable 32-14 loss for the home team. Vince Hammerley, 9 News.
Plus, is this the NRL's worst refereeing decision of the year as the Panthers get a reality check?
At Penrith, Kate Snowden's knee ended the day for Adam Docker, but the real shocker came from the video referees who ruled Dean Farre scored for the Panthers despite replays showing he was out.
That's no try. His hand was on the sideline. You just expect them to get those things right.
The Knights still grab 2 to lead at the break to keep Wayne Bennett happy before former Panther Craig Gower stormed through to score.
What a return this will be!
Mossy Masoi was put on report for using a shoulder and he wasn't happy, but in the end Neville Costigan's Knights were too good.
The Reeks, they get there!
To the NRL, and Newcastle prop Cade Snowden is facing a 3-week ban for an incident that has left Penrith's Adam Docker with a fractured cheekbone. Panthers coach Ivan Cleary was fuming after Snowden lifted his knee into the face of the young forward. Mossy Masoi is facing a 1-week suspension for this careless high tackle on Robbie Rocco.
Craig Gower haunted his old club yesterday.
It was touch and go, mate. Did you think you'd score when you got it over there?
Yeah, definitely. Didn't you see me? I claimed it, so it was good.
Cade Snowden is facing a 3-week suspension after a raised knee broke Adam Docker's cheekbone, while Penrith's Mossy Masoi is facing a week out after putting himself on report.
He's on report twice.
Rob Canning, 9 News.
In Judiciary News night, Cade Snowden's looking at a ban of up to 3 weeks after being charged with kneeing Panther Adam Docker in the head.
I wasn't happy with the fact that we had one of our players that had a broken cheekbone from a fairly dubious knee.
The video referees who awarded this dubious try will find out tomorrow if they've been dropped.
He was definitely out, but obviously they've seen it differently.
Patrick Mullahan, 7 News.
Fletch, what caught your eye, champion?
Yeah, it was yesterday's game between Penrith and the Knights when big Mossy Masoi got put on report. He accidentally took Robbie Rocco's face off and then he went like that, put himself on report.
There you go. Or did you put the referee on report? I mean, there you go.
Well, yeah, the video ref was Matt Chechen, so he might have had a message for Matt.
There we go. Now, guys, I tell you what caught my eye at the Knights versus the Panthers match. Half-time, right? The game's on the line, important game for both sides. And have a look at the old skeleton there. He's just cracking some jokes, is Wayne, and everyone's having a bit of a laugh and having a good time. Well, I can reveal. Look, I was in the sheds yesterday, and I can reveal what the joke was. And we can't play it here, but we'll subtitle it, and I'll say exactly what the joke. He said, "Look, me and Bryan Smith were walking down the road, and a criminal came up and grabbed Bryan and put a gun to his head, right? And he said, 'Give me your wallet, Wayne, or I'll shoot Bryan in the head.'" Right? And a few minutes later, he said again, I said, "Wayne, give me a wallet or I'll shoot Bryan in the head. What are you waiting for?" And Wayne said, yeah, heard you the first time, just trying to make up my mind. Just trying to make up my mind. Guys, just trying to make up my mind. Yeah, Uncle Wayne, he's still got it.
In some other news, there were 2 charges to come out of the round. Knights forward Cade Snowden could miss up to 3 weeks after being hit with a Grade 2 dangerous contact charge. Panther Adam Docker is still waiting on scan results to his face after copying the force of Snowden's knee. If Cade pleads guilty, he'll be back for his side's round 22 matchup with the Sharks, or if he fights and loses, he'll be out for 3 weeks. The other charge was levelled at Panther Mossy Masoi. We saw the incident earlier. He won't miss any game time with an early plea to that high tackle charge. Well, from the same game, the refs were also in the bad books, and that was most notably Wayne Bennett's after a poor couple of decisions. But after speaking to refs boss Daniel Anderson today, his message was clear. We got it wrong, now let's move on. According to Anderson, the video refs considered whether Dean Vare's hand had crossed the sideline, but at that moment, former players Luke Phillips and Ryan Morgan simply didn't see it and awarded the try. On review today, Anderson said his men made an error, but he maintains the standard of refereeing should not be a concern to coaches. Well, fortunately, it didn't determine the result on the day. Newcastle were dominant 18-point winners, but Craig Gower said today his side are nowhere near their best. The Knights hit the pool at recovery this morning with no major injury concerns ahead of their clash with the Roosters this weekend. The win was their 3rd straight and snapped a 5-game losing streak on the road.
Oh, the confidence is definitely building. You know, I don't think we've hit our straps of how good we can play yet. Hopefully we can continually get better and better. It's going to be a big task this weekend against the Roosters, and they're playing some fantastic football, so it's going to be a good challenge for us.
32 points to 14. The Newcastle Knights, they beat the Penrith Panthers. And I tell you what, Jamal, let's talk about the Knights. Your old club there. You were graded there in the under-15s, and they never actually played, but you got graded. Aren't they starting to develop into a tough, dogged football team?
Yeah, well, when we played against them, I guess I didn't watch most of the game because I was on morphine.
Yes. Hey, you're lucky. You got beat by 60.
Yeah, and I actually had nightmares about it that night. But yeah, no, they're playing outstanding. You know, their halves are connecting. Akula Lote, he's sensational, and Boyd as well. There's no stopping them at the moment.
They just got to close the gap between their good performances and their bad performances.
Yeah.
And once they do that, they will become, you know, true top 8 contenders. But at the moment, there's just such a swing. And, you know, for Wayne Bennett to say, I don't know what team's getting off the bus, I still don't know. And it's a great performance. Like, Penrith have been playing great. They go to the foot of the mountains against a side that's super confident and they win. But next week, I'll be thinking, do I tip the Knights? Is that a fair assessment? They play like chalks. It'll be a big test for them.
It's a big test, isn't it, to see how well they progressed as a side. Boys, Dean Farre, the video referee howler, it's one of the biggest one of the year.
He broke 2 fingers.
It's unbelievable. Like, look at that.
I like the excuse though that the refs gave.
We didn't see it.
Look at that. I didn't see it.
Look at the touchy. I mean, surely he's in a pretty decent spot there. He's like having an Edgar.
Look at that side, he is too.
He's down like you're going, man. Like, surely the touchy saw that he could tip the video ref, said, no, look, his fingers hit the line. It's unbelievable, boys. Craig Gower returned to Penrith yesterday. Nice touch. It was Gower's second or third game back in first grade, and I thought he was absolutely sensational.
He was good at a dummy half too. I thought when they were going to bring him back, Wayne had mentioned that they were going to put him at 7, but he's back at 9 and he's going good for 47, isn't he?
Mate, he's going real good. I tell you what, you've got to tip your hat to Gower. He's got great work ethic.
See that there?
Look at that.
Only a Craig Gower type of player scores that, and there's not too many people that just don't give up on their play. They don't like, and keep on going. Well, like I'd sort of, you know, like you'd pull up and think it's going to go too far. He doesn't. He chased it all there, and his wife's due very closely. So it's a mentally tough performance to be, you know, 2 hours away from your wife going to have a baby.
You know what else he's doing too? At the moment, Craig Gower's bought an organic fruit market, which is down in Flemington at Homebush. He's driving from Newcastle every morning at 4 o'clock to get down there, works, then gets back to training. On top of that, so you've got to tip your hat to him. You know, he's...
and that's where Ujwal's gone. Gower, you owe me. You owe me that $8.
Mate, when he turns up.
Wayne Bennett's savage criticism of Penrith coach Ivan Cleary and the NRL.
And Wayne Bennett has unloaded on Ivan Cleary and the NRL after Cleary wrongly stated that this tackle resulted in his player Adam Docker breaking his jaw.
There'd be no penalty or fine given to the Penrith club, to my knowledge, because of the outspoken position that Ivan Cleary took on it, which would prove to be wrong anyway. What we all do know is that the NRL is extremely influenced by the media and by coaches and their comments.
Danny Weidler, 9 News.
Anger too from Jonathan Thurston, who posted photos after drug testers arrived at 6 a.m. and woke up his daughter Frankie.
Got a bad night's sleep, but the point I'm making is there's nothing abnormal about what happened there this morning, and every player's got to expect that.
Now, the club footy went round on the weekend, as always, round 19 of the Telstra Premiership. Yep. What left you hanging for more?
Oh, look, I'll tell you what, rugby league at its essence is a game where it's about desire, okay? And the ones that want it are the ones that get it. And Craig Gower's try on the weekend shows it doesn't matter how old you are, if you're a winner, you're just a winner. And I'll tell you what, the improvement and the elevation he's going to give Newcastle coming into their roster, I think he's turned them into genuine contenders now.
And the other great story about that try is that he scored it in and around one of the youngest players in the NRL, a future superstar, Matt Moylan.
Matt Moylan, and it's probably a good lesson for Matt Moylan, isn't it, about how, for all the skills and talent you have, the one quality that you cannot overcome is desire. And I think, Craig Gower, he really brings that to Newcastle. and they're a completely different club with him in it.
The Knights desperately trying to get out of their own territory, which they're stuck at the moment. He'll play the ball to Buderus. They spread the pass right to left it goes. So the double cut out from Mullen to Leilua. Fare's there, but made a pretty ordinary attempt to tackle. Leilua beats him and Isaac John. Still standing. Offloads to Mullen. Mullen a pass away on halfway to Snowden. Then across it goes to Jeremy Smith. They keep the ball going. Was it forward? Gagai to Uate. Across comes Mullen. Uate steps past him, through him, scores. A brilliant try by the Knights. Akili Uate crashes over in the northeastern corner.
It goes away to Leilua. It's a cut-out pass. Leilua gets away from one, from two. He's still going, Leilua. He's got ball in one hand, throws it back to Mullen. Mullen fires a spiral ball across to Snowden, away to Smith. Long ball out down to Gagai. They've got some space. They'll give it away to Uate. Uate's over the 30. He's over the 20. He comes to the fullback, Mullen. He'll beat him. He'll score. He's over. Great try, Knights. Tremendous try, Uate. And what expansive play from Newcastle. That's burnt the ground.
Well, that's Newcastle at their best. Not bad for a group of old blokes. The Newcastle Knights on a roll at the moment. Who is the biggest dark horse outside the top four?
Top four? Newcastle Knights.
Yeah?
Yeah. Look, Newcastle got the old boys. They've got them rolling now. They're peaking. And I said earlier in the show, I really like Craig Gower. He brings an edge to Newcastle that they haven't had for most of the season. And they've got guys there that know how to win, most of all the coach.
Battle-hardened is the best way to describe them.
Coming up on the game plan, Newcastle's flying winger Akili Uate joins us.
Chance to wind up here. Now he straightens. Unstoppable. There he goes again with another challenging run. Gagai has set it up. Uate with a double.
Stand by for the skip. There it is.
Looks to offload and does. Here's a short kick taken by Uate. And Aquila goes far.
Uate breaks the drought.
Get out of here.
He is great to watch, isn't he? And the rampaging winger for the Knights will join us in just a moment or two. On Sunday, he will be a part of the Newcastle side that takes on the in-form Roosters at Hunter Stadium. And Blocky, we have a look at how both teams line up, starting with the Knights.
Well, Andrew, I like the Newcastle Knights, especially with Bo Scott and Jeremy Smith in the side. They've got some try-scoring potential. Willie Mason up front. I think they're the dark horses of the premiership. I think if they can beat the Roosters this weekend, I think they'll make the top four and they will give plenty of hurry up in the semi-final time.
Yeah, look, I have to agree. I think this is a very, very important game, this, for the winner and for the loser, for that matter, confidence-wise. But look, I just don't know how you break this side down. They're back three. They start their sets, field positions just dominated by the Roosters each game, and these crashing, bashing forwards. Sonny Bill Williams back into the side. I don't know how you stop them, but you're right, Newcastle are in form. They could be the team to do it. Yeah, it should be a big one on Sunday. And look, the disappointment of not being a part of this year's Origin series for New South Wales might be the motivation Akili Uate needs to kick on and have a really great year. It's been a very good one so far. And Aku joins us right now. Bula Vanaka, Aku.
Bula, guys.
Nice to see you, mate. Tell you something, we were at your game against Penrith last Sunday. The older your team gets, the better it seems to get. How good have you blokes been going since Danny Buderus came back from injury and Craig Gower came into the team?
Yeah, no, it's been good. The two old guys are going good at Newcastle. It's good to have Bedsy back in Newcastle, and yeah, I think we're starting to come together as a team, and yeah, we'll definitely. Yeah, really excited to have those two guys in the joint, except especially Big Willie. He lights up the joint every morning, especially this cold weather. We need Big Willie out there and you know, just giving us jokes.
Aku, it's great to see your smiling face, mate. You've scored 10 tries this season. Are you playing as good as what you were when you were picked to play Origin?
Well, I don't think so, but you know, I'm starting to pick up my game again. You know, the last couple of weeks, you know, definitely, I just need to keep improving and just keep doing the little things right at the moment. And you know, I'm just really excited. This week is a very big week in Newcastle against the Roosters, and you know, I just like to prove myself and you know, just keep playing the way I'm playing. And you know, I think a bit down for the last month, but yeah, I just want to move forward and keep playing good the way I'm going at the moment. So. Yeah.
Hugh, is it fair to say that you guys are brutal at home? I just mentioned a few of your players in your football side. The challenge of playing against the Roosters, this is really the one you want. This is the yardstick of the premiership. You want to win this one at home.
Yeah, definitely. Especially playing at home, and you know, the last couple of games we're playing at home, it's been you know, been really tough, and yeah, I think we can prove ourselves this year, and you know. Big game on Sunday this week against the Roosters, and yeah, they've been really going good at this year, and you know, we're really looking forward to this week, and yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait till Sunday comes, and you know, just can't wait to rip in.
Arku, you're spot on. They are going well. Their coach, Trent Robinson's only coached 17 NRL games. 5 times they've held the opposition scoreless. Your coach nearly 700 games. How do you possibly score against this team?
Well, I'm not sure, mate.
Good answer.
Mate, I don't know. It's all up to Wayne Bennett. I don't know what's Wayne's playing this week. But so I'm just looking forward to the challenge this week, and it's going to be really tough. They've been going good for the last month, and for me myself, you know, I was got to keep getting myself involved, and you know, hopefully I could break a few lines this week and score a few tries again.
Well, okay, surely it's got a lot to do with the Newcastle players getting it out to you on one side and James McManus on the other. Blocky mentioned he's scored 10 tries this year. James McManus, 16 in 17 games. He's been rewarded with a New South Wales jumper back in Origin this year. How good's he been going?
Mate, he's been really good. He's probably one of our best players in the Knights going at the moment, and yeah, it's good to see Jimmy up there playing Origin again, and he's missed. I can't remember the last time he played Origin, and it's good to see him back in Origin, and yeah, he's been one of our #1 players in Newcastle, and I'm really proud of him, and I think he's really happy with his performance in Origin, and he's one of the players that you always that you want to play with. You know, he's give 100% every week. And even at training, he deserved, for him being picked in Origin.
All right, Aku, it's always a delight for us to be able to catch up with you. Your smile is infectious, and we always love watching you play. A really big one coming up on Sunday, so we'll bid you more day. We'll say Vanaka and look forward to some tries on the weekend.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
There he is, the great Aku Uate, whose smile remains as strong as ever, even though he's not part of camp with Blocker these days.
All right, we all know that NRL stars aren't superheroes, but some of their talents are similar to superpowers. For instance, Gal and his fists of steel, Wally for his immortality, Fatty for his fiery red hair. In this week's Player Probe, we asked the players if they were superheroes, what superpowers they would like to have.
Probably invisibility.
I think it'd be nice to be invisible for a day. I suppose an outfit would be good, but there's no point having an outfit if you're going to be invisible, is it?
Two of Newcastle's greatest, Andrew Johns and Paul the Chief Harrigan, preview today's Knights Roosters blockbuster. I mentioned this game this afternoon, Freddie. We'll obviously get into it a little bit later on, and you're going up to cover it, but it shapes as a beauty. Roosters 76-0 their last 2 games, 36-0, 40-0 their last 2 weeks against Newcastle, who are in 5th position. Good battle.
I think the fact that the Roosters forwards have been rolling through sides, Newcastle will take this personally. You've got a lot of sort of older fellas, Willie, Smith, Bo Scott, Danny Buderus, some real tough blokes who won't allow that, so it'll be an intriguing game.
Now, personal rivalry, top 5, personal rivalry. We've seen some absolute rippers over time. Of course, this year it would have to be Paul Gallen and Nate Miles.
Oh, yeah, I mean, this is pretty... He's got a massive head, hasn't he, Nate Miles, and that's coming from a guy who's got a massive head. But, you know, obviously there's been a lot said of this, but I love the fact that they both took that rumble. They left it on the field. They got great respect for each other off the field. and they're just two great competitors.
Here you go, TK.
This could have been Bill Harrigan and any National Rugby League coach in the history of the world, but on this occasion it was Gus who was giving it to him, and he got the marching orders in one of his favourite tracksuits from the sideline. And then, of course, on top of Gus with Bill, there was also...
Is that the old Dada uniforms tracksuit?
There was also Bob Fulton wanting to run over Bill in the cement truck.
I just want to know, was there ever a punch thrown in this battle between Mad Dog and Wendell, and can either of you fight?
Yeah, well, look, no, it's mainly a battle out of respect for one another, but, you know, I was told today, actually, by yourself, that Wendell actually had a fight.
If that was Nate Miles, you would have got him.
Well, you said that actually had a fight with Carl Stefanovic, you were telling me, Tim, and actually Carl Stefanovic beat Wendell in a fight. I find that hard to believe, but...
See, all the other ones, everyone goes, it just happened on the footy field, but this is the rugby league hatred battle that still exists right to this day, and there's still so much feeling about it, and it is Benny Elias up against Mario Fenech, and Mario sent off there for biting Benny, and of course Benny will tell everybody he bit himself and got Mario sent off.
So there he is shaking his head, and of course the number one, Steve-O, you played with both these guys at representative level, the Chief and the Spud.
Every time I play against them, I'd find a massive sidestep because you didn't want this to happen to you, and that was going to happen. And mate, the thing is about it, these blokes, you see that game, but they backed up and they continually did that against each other. It wasn't a one-off. There you go. And so two of the toughest forwards you'll ever see, I reckon.
Yeah, good blokes too. We're going to cross to Chief later in the program. Of course, he's very much involved in Newcastle, and they are flying our match of the day with Rabbits today. Of course, is Newcastle and the Roosters from up there in the Hunter. It's going to be an absolute ripper.
All right, we'll break now and cross up to Newcastle and chat to the two men who own Newcastle in Andrew Johns and Paul Harrigan in just a moment.
Brad Fittler leads out the Roosters. What an important game as far as their season is concerned.
Well, 1999, we got bundled out in the semi-finals. It was quite disappointing, and ended up being Phil Gould's last year as coach. So our new coach to impress, Graham Murray. And the start of our season was win-loss, 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 and this is round 9. We had to win. We had to win.
Poor pass, well handled by Andrew Johns.
Sign of things to come for Tamana, but we were behind early. An opportunity through the middle. Luke Phillips went through a bit of space, and Boozy, the cheat, he held him down too long. He was in the bin. But in the time, we never took advantage. We ended up with 2 points. I look back and think, why didn't we go for a try? Anyway.
A ball into the end goal. The Tim Mandel likes it. They've scored their second.
Didn't take us long to hit back, though. Great combination, Adrian Lamb and Matty singing. He was dynamic, Matty singing. He used to run these beautiful outside in lines, and he did this time, and he got us back in the game.
If they can hang on to the ball, they're a chance in this game.
Just into the second half, Buderus, he was dirty too. Geez, they were a dirty side. He belted Fitzy high and knocked him clean out.
Fitzgibbon has been injured in this tackle. He took a heavy knock.
It felt like we started to take control, but then out of nowhere, Ben Kennedy just stole that momentum away.
Hughes outside him, draws the fullback and gets there himself. He scored for the Knights.
It felt like we're getting there. We had some really nice runs and some good opportunities, and it sort of culminated in a scrum, about 10-15 metres out. They give us an opportunity to come back with a final set to win the game. And we just took them on. If you saw Simon Benetti, he had a late call from me. Now over call was Henry. So I screamed Henry, he reacted, and then Robbie Miles ran a beautiful line, got himself on the outside of Billy Payton.
Fires it to Robbie Miles, reaches out and scores the try that ties this ball game up.
He set up the stage for Fitzy to be the man. And he has this moment. He has a kick on the bell to win the game. And what a year 2000 ended up being. I met Marie, we flogged him in the Origin, got to the grand final, won the Golden Boot, Sydney Olympics, and the rest is history.
Well, there you go. We apologise for the bias.
I'd love another one of them. Hey? Can one of them be around the corner?
About the first thing you did with one of those tries was look over to see if Adam McDougall was over there and take him to task.
Dukes has gone. He took off too. He knew.
What was coming. Knew what was coming. We're sorry about the biased narrative there from Brad Fittler. But, they weren't such a dirty side, Newcastle. But I think we might get a similar contest up at Hunter Stadium this afternoon between these two clubs. And to set the scene for us, I've had a look through the playing roster. The Knights have got some older players in the competition. Not quite sure if one of these will feature, but Andrew Johns is with Paul the Chief Harrigan. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yeah, Sterlo. Interesting, Freddie said he's got a golden boot. You only got one of those, Freddie.
Barry Toohey was on the voting committee. That's why you end up with two, I think, Fred.
Yeah. I'm here with Knights chairman and club legend Paul Harrigan. Big crowd expected today. Bit of a buzz around town.
Yeah, no, there is. It'll be the biggest crowd of the year. We're expecting around about 23, maybe 25, and it kind of smells a little bit of the old days where we get a big heavyweight Sydney team coming to town. We're underdogs, and everyone gets fired. Everyone gets behind the boys, so it's looking good.
What about the Roosters forward pack? It's probably the best forward pack in the competition. How do they stop the forwards?
Yeah, no, they really are. Look. Sonny Bill and Boyd Corden and Hargraves have been outstanding. And of course their halves too, with the experience they've got through Origin. It's going to be a big look. They're white hot. It's going to be a massive challenge for us, mate. They get through that forward pack, Joe, because we're built on physicals on teams here in Newcastle. A big crowd. As I said, at home in the middle of winter, we love it. I think our boys can rise a little bit and challenge them.
A lot of people are talking about the Knights as being smokies for the premiership. They got the squad to trouble the top teams.
Well, the thing I like, the last 3 weeks we've put 3 together in a row, and they haven't been fantastic wins. They've been ugly wins, and I reckon once you start to win ugly, you're a half decent team. So we're starting to learn how to win, and this is a big litmus test for us. We've had some big challenges. See, Willie Mason's going to be fired up. Lote played wonderful last week. I've got to say as well, Darius Boyd had a big game. Good to see him back in form. Important for our attack.
What about any late changes for the Knights?
Not that I know of. No late changes. Dave Farlongo, of course, goes into the front row for Cade Snowden out through suspension. That's about it, Joe. Full strength team.
So anyone at home thinking about coming to the footy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be a good crowd, but if you're sitting at home around Newcastle, the Hunter Valley, make sure you get here. It's going to be a cracking day, good old-fashioned game, and let's hope we get a good win, Joe.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, you'll see that game from 4 o'clock, and it will be a beauty and wonderful atmosphere up at Hunter Stadium. And Chief, early on in the show, we had personal rivalries. Yours up against Mark Carroll was number 1, and what was notable was how often he belted you and you never got him back. Is there anything you'd like to have done different?
No, probably not get as belted as much, but I tell you what, I love rivalries, and Spud was a great rival to me. And I was looking at Hargraves the other day, and I don't think it'll be too long before someone picks him out, because he'd be a great competitor. I really like his way. He reminds me of Spud a little bit. He goes real good.
Who's the one, Chief, out of the Newcastle forward pack that you think will take him on?
Mate, I think Willie's up for it. He loves this stuff. As I said, late 20s in the crowd. I think Willie will fire up. But both Scott is a tough customer. So I think between those two, you'll get a taker.
All right, thanks for joining us, Chief. But Joey, you can't go away because we've got our Isuzu Ute D-Max Performance Competition.
Good
You're
luck,
the new
Joey.
leader. You went to the front on the back of Todd Carney last week. Now, this might be a little bit difficult for you, but who is your choice from last week?
Yeah, it's Josh Dugan. I was blown away by his performance. He spearheaded the Dragons for that upset win against South Sydney. Some of his stats: 11 tackle breaks, 28 runs for 241 metres. They played a style which really suited him. They threw about 28 offloads during the game, and this brought Dugan into play. On his feet, there's no better for a big man when you see him, how elusive he is, bringing back the kick returns. Understand he'd done something like 6 kick returns for 60 metres. That gets your sets rolling forward. Showed great leadership and culminated at the end of the game during Golden Point. He set up the try with a kick and chase, and then there was an offload. So for me, he was head and shoulders above anyone on the field that night, but head and shoulders above anyone during that round. He's a real superstar.
Great delivery,
That's
Joey.
outstanding. That's sight unseen.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can match that.
Well,
and you've got everything in your favour here.
A lot of people are doubting me, but they wouldn't be doubting the person that I chose. I chose... I forget who I chose.
Sean Johnson.
Sean Johnson. I'm only kidding. Sean Johnson was supposed to be Benji's night last Friday night. but he was fantastic. He brought every part of his game. This is his give and take part. He gave it to Matunga, put him into a hole, and then Sean Johnson supported through the middle. His running game, there was a kick across field. Now, I watched him run down Michael Jennings one day in about 30 metres, so that shows he's got acceleration. But not many players can maintain it for 90 metres. He was absolutely brilliant. People charging him up on the inside, and there's his grubber kick, puts a little bend on it. Simon Mannering ends up being the recipient of 2 of his kicks by the end of the day. And here he shows everything, give and take, his speed to support, and puts it on the boot to Simon Mannering. I don't have to go through his stats to show you how good he was. And to prove on Benji's night, his last game at Leichhardt, it was Sean Johnson, the Kiwi halfback.
I'd hate to butt in there, Freddie, but you people in New Zealand, the SMS or call will cost you $10 Australian.
All right, thanks, guys, up there. Look forward to your call later on, Joey, and have a good afternoon, Chief. Always good to see you.
Stop using that teeth shine to Joey.
All right, to be a part of the competition, it's easy to do. $500 you can win every week as well, and this is how you go about it.
Freddie and Joey have made their selection. Now it's up to you. A fantastic Isuzu D-Max Ute is up for grabs in the Sunday Footy Show's D-Max Performance of the Week competition. Now, with a 5-year warranty and 3-tonne towing, even with a tonne in the back, the D-Max makes light work of even the toughest jobs. Plus, thanks to our great mates at Isuzu Ute, $500 is also up for grabs each week. To be in the running, simply pick your side. Choose A if you like Joey's selection for Performance of the Round, or B if you agree with Freddie. SMS your vote along with your name to 199 55 809 or phone 1902 555 809 and follow the prompts. A random winner will then be selected out of all the correct entries to pocket $500 and go into the major prize draw for the D-Max Ute drawn at the end of the year. Entries close midday Wednesday, so get voting in the D-Max Performance of the Week competition.
But firstly, sportsbet.com.au prices for the remaining matches. They look this way. Some really important games coming up. Head-to-head, Knights Roosters, our television game this afternoon. Great value there if you like the Novocastrians. 265, 150 the Roosters. Line bet just 5.5 plus or minus. And the first try scorer is no surprise there. Uarte and Jennings equal favourites at $10. And there is a money back guarantee or special in this one. On the first and last try scorer bets if Sonny Bill Williams scores up there this afternoon, coming back from that hamstring injury. There should be a whale of a game up at Hunter Stadium this afternoon. If you can't get to the ground, you can see it at 4 p.m. on the 9 cameras. Newcastle playing host to the Roosters, both sides in great winning form and really looking the goods late in the season.